Thank you for joining us this evening. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. The Board of Education is meeting electronically due to the local state of emergency as declared by Berrien County Board of Commissioners on March 24th, 2021. The public may participate in the meeting by joining the Zoom link listed above. Board members may be contacted through the emails listed below. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. Upon prior request to the superintendent, the district shall make reasonable accommodation for a person with disabilities to be able to participate in the meeting. Requests for special assistance may be sent to liz.goodwin@bhas.org. I call this meeting to order officially at 5:32 p.m. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you all could unmute and join me. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United
United
States
States of America
and to
and
the
to the
republic
to the republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty,
liberty
justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll for attendance?
President Robinson,
Present.
Vice President Bradley,
Present.
Secretary Triplett present, Treasurer Creighton,
Present.
Trustee Bowens,
Present.
Trustee Buchanan, Trustee Rocket Martin.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett. It has been confirmed that we have a quorum. Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Liz, if you could scroll down slightly. The agenda directly reflects as it did last week. There was an adjustment made earlier for communications by design, but otherwise it is the same information.
And President
Can I
Robinson,
receive a motion? Yes.
I'm sorry, do you want me, once you get down after the agenda, would you like for me to introduce the strategic planning proposal presentation?
Yes, sir. So we have to ensure that we have approval of the agenda, but yes, sir, once we get there, I'll have you do that introduction. Thank you.
President Robinson, excuse the interruption. I believe Trustee Buchanan is on the line.
I see her. I believe she is the one ending in
I'm on the
871. Correct?
I'm on the phone.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Secretary Triplett, did you catch her for attendance?
Yes, I did.
Awesome. Okay, so we are at approval of the agenda. Can I receive a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
So much.
Oh, it has been moved by Secretary Triplett. Trustee Buchanan, would you like to second or support that?
I support it.
Thank you. It has been moved by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Buchanan that we approve the agenda. Any questions, comments, or concerns before we call the roll? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll for approval of the agenda?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett. So the motion has been passed that we approve the agenda. Next up on the agenda is public comment on agenda items. And if you all would give me one quick second. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Today, there are 3 areas for comment on the agenda of which you may decide when to speak. public comment on agenda items, public comment on the extended learning plan, and open public comment. Per policy 0167.3, which governs board participation at board meetings, we request that you preface your comments by an announcement of your name, address, and group affiliation when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to a 3-minute duration, and per our bylaws, no participant may speak more than once during this meeting. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, and not respond at this time. I, as president, will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. If you have specific questions for the board or executive team that require follow-up, please email those directly to liz.goodwin@bhas.org. Liz, can you please pull up the timer? Is there anyone on the line for public comment regarding agenda items? Okay, so I am not hearing anyone.
Ms. President Robinson, there is a notice in the chat if someone would like to read it. Do you want me to read it?
Yes, because I don't see anything in the
Oh,
chat.
okay. It came to me, I guess. From Shaquille Turner, can you share my comment? I would like to thank school superintendent for his leadership, not on that, for making sure BHAS is in fire compliance by state and federal guidelines. I'm in another meeting, she says. Thank you. She just wanted to commend, I guess, Dr. Townsell for his leadership and making sure that we're in compliance with our fire codes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Liz, for reading that comment.
So Madam President,
Yes, Secretary Triplett.
so who did that comment come from in the chat? I didn't see that question.
Liz said that she believes that was a comment that went directly to her, and it was from a Shaquille Turner. So it wasn't one that was made to the full chat. It was a message sent to her asking that be read.
Okay, so that's not classified as a comment. In public comment, participation in public comment.
Well, this is public comment, but that was the only comment that we received. No one else had their name raised, so she just went ahead and read that.
Okay, because I do see Mr. Turner on the line.
Mr. Turner, are you present?
Excuse me, President Robinson, she stated that she's in another meeting.
Okay, I believe that's a he, Mr. Shaquille Turner. So Secretary Triplett, it appears that this individual is in dual meetings, and so just ask for Liz to read the comment for public comment on their behalf.
Thank you.
Okay. So seeing no other hands raised and seeing no one else or hearing no one else for public comment, we're going to proceed with the agenda. Next on the agenda is approval of meeting minutes. We have minutes from the work session for 4/13/2021 and also the regular session for 4/20/2021. Are there, okay, so Ms. Gavin, I'm sorry, I overlooked your hand. Did you have a public
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I do. Okay, thank you so much. I wanted to thank you to the Board of Education for putting Black Wall Street zones on the agenda. I'm not exactly sure if it's for a vote. And I just want to empower you to just remember your power to vote yes for this item. All it takes is for one board member, for one elected representative to say, I make a motion that we approve and support the Black Wall Street zone resolution. And then you have the staff who can be directed to go ahead and start giving our district back public school zoning protections, giving us historical site protections, and giving us racial equity protections. We've made a lot of motions to outsource. We've looked at a lot of information. You even have information on here. It looks like a plan to outsource teachers. There's, you have key staff who is getting rid of teachers and gutting our programs. It is time for us to turn that around, and you have the power to do that. I just want to let that sink in. You have the power within a few seconds to go ahead and make history and join the city and the school district together. And all it takes is for one board member to vote yes, to put that motion on the floor, another board member to second the motion, and 4 leaders to say yes, rather than stall it, kick the can down the road, do what we've seen happen to our people for so long. All of the information is there. When we first came to you, we had 300 supporters on that petition. That's moved up to 537 with 12 organizations who are now on board with us. And so the question is, are we going to remember that charity begins at home? Are we going to do what's right for these families and children here? And are we going to go ahead and vote yes for us and do the right thing? I believe that so many people have already said that. Young people, elders, city officials, people have spoken. The question is, will this elected body listen and do what is right today? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Ms. Gavin, and thanks to Mr. Turner for his comment as well. Next on the agenda is approval of meeting minutes. We have our minutes from work session 4/13/2021, as well as approval of regular session 4/20/2021. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for both days?
So move.
And is there a second or support?
I support.
Okay, so the motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Rockette Martin that we approve work session 4/13/2021 and regular session 4/20/2021 minutes. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll?
Madam President, for clarification purposes, you said 4/13.
2021 and regular session 4/20/2021.
Okay, so the 13 was the work session
Yes, sir.
and was a regular meeting for the 20, right?
Correct.
Okay. President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowen,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Trustee Rockette Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. So approval of the work session 4/13/2021 and regular session 4/20/2021 minutes have passed. Next on our agenda is board business, strategic planning proposal presentation. I'll pass it over to Dr. Townsend.
Thank you so much, President Robinson. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, in the month of April, we had 2 organizations present to our Board of Education with regards to strategic planning. We left the window of opportunity open for additional proposals to support our strategic plan. We have a submission by Communications by Design. We have Representative Ms. Shara Easter to propose how Communications by Design can support us with strategic planning so we can have that guidance and leadership over the next 5 years. So without further talking, I'll pass the microphone over to Ms. Sarah Easter.
Thank you, Dr. Townsend. And thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all tonight. Strategic planning is something that personally, this is a new avenue for my company. I actually started Communications by Design 30 years ago. and we are technology consultants that also do professional development. And the more that we work with schools, the more we realize how important the strategic plan is. And I love to quote scripture. I'm a Baptist preacher's kid, and the Bible says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And that's the strategic plan, if it's done properly, is really where that vision is really set. And so, because I'm not new to K-12 public education, but in a strategic planning process, I partner with Dr. Rod Green. Dr. Green was the superintendent at East China Public Schools, and now does a lot of consulting. He's also a contractor for MASB. And together we work on strategic plans, and we've done a few in Indiana, and we're working on one up in Frankfurt, Alberta. And this whole process is really an important process in the fact that a lot of school districts do strategic plans because they check it off. It's a check off the box. And my passion is really about making change happen. And if there was ever a time that was change that's necessary, it's necessary right now. And so we've developed this plan, and I think that you've got it in front of your screens. Can you all see the proposal that I put in front of you?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes.
Okay, good. So the important questions are, where are we now? Where are we going to go? And how do we get there? And, the woman that spoke before me quite eloquently identified some really strategic, timely issues that are in front of Benton Harbor schools right now. And so this strategic plan could, if done properly, could really create a roadmap for who exactly are we, who's the community that we serve, and how are we going to improve the experience that our students receive from us. And so that we look at a 6-step process. Liz, if you could go to the next step. I kind of already talked about who I am. So you can keep on going. Oh, let's stay on that one just for a second. So what are the deliverables? So I always love to know at the end, when this is all done, what will you deliver to me? And so the deliverables are going to be that we will have met with the superintendent and the Board of Education. We're going to begin a conversation so that we can begin to listen to you. And that is going to provide a context for our work. And as we begin to work with your community and your administrators, it's this pre-planning session to understand expectations, intentions, concerns, the things that you're doing really well that you're proud of, the things that you're struggling with. That's where we really begin to become very involved and to understand who you are. So as we broaden this conversation with the rest of the community, we have a better understanding and an awareness from which we can speak. We'll begin by, after we've had that meeting, we'll put together up to 6 focus groups. And those focus groups can be staff members, parents, community members, business owners. And we can do that if COVID is still an issue and we need to do those meetings via Zoom. We've done that, and we can do that very successfully. We can do that in person if we're allowed to do that. But after we've had those meetings, we will prepare a summary analysis of all of the data that we've collected, qualitative and perceptual. We'll ask you to provide educational data, quantitative data that would include your 5-year district trend data that you might get from the Michigan Association of Schools. And then after we've collected that data, then we will begin a planning, facilitation, and strategic planning retreat. For up to 20 to 30 people, this can be done in person or in Zoom. It's a lot more fun in person, I can guarantee you that. But in that meeting, we begin to break down some of the ideas that have been identified in the previous meetings. Again, written documentation for that is provided. And then as we begin to work through, it's kind of a funnel effect. So in that pre-planning stage, and Liz, if you can go down a little bit, one more page. We'll begin with this pre-planning, and that's where we will start to introduce ourselves. We'll get to know you a little bit better. we'll start talking about, maybe we'll look at your prior strategic plan and what happened with that, and have you implemented that strategic plan? Because one of my biggest frustrations is that when all is said and done, more's been said than done. And I sincerely hope that as we work, if we're given the opportunity to work with you through this process, that this is a strategic plan that everybody understands, that we know what we need to do, how do we implement it, we know how to measure our implementation. And so we'd like to look at what you've done in the past, talk about what are different strategies that we might use, and then to really listen to what your concerns are, what your hopes and your aspirations are. And that will supply the context of the work that we're going to do. We get into the stakeholder input. That's where the community, as I said earlier, staff, community, students, parents, that gather together in small groups. And we will begin to talk about laying out some of the framework that we've been talking of, that we would have established in our pre-planning stage. Then we'll get into the strategic plan. And that's where we'll actually bring board members, the superintendent, administrators, and representatives from the teachers, staff, students, and communities. And we'll do an environmental scan. We'll talk about understanding what is happening in the community and what are the challenges that you're facing. We'll review the current status and progress of the district. We'll develop and renew a review of vision and mission. That's where we review the vision, the mission, and beliefs of the district. Sorry, it's easy for me to say, right? Review educational data. We'll bring that to this whole planning retreat. That usually takes about 8 hours. We'll identify key strategic goal areas. And so based on all the information that we would have brought together, we will identify some key areas that we want to really focus on. And then we'll identify 12 to 18 months of priorities to implement that strategic plan and really synthesize all of that work into our goal statements. And then that's when we're done with that retreat, we will have identified our key strategic goal areas, and we will have identified what are those statements and what is our implementation plan to move forward. If you can scroll down again. Okay, so then as we begin working with that group, we will start to put a plan together with timelines. We really believe that it's got to be measurable, and it has to have dates that are set, that we all work very, very hard at meeting. And those are things that really come from you, that doesn't come from us. Those key strategic areas and the timing of this all will come from you. But Rod, you'll get to know Dr. Green really well. He's really good at poking and asking really good questions, things that maybe you hadn't thought of. When all of that work is synthesized, then we bring that to you as a Board of Education, ask you to adopt the strategic plan. And then at that point, the implementation and the evaluation begins. And that is really, that's really your work, but we are more than happy to meet with you in 2022 and 2023 to just see how you're doing. Are you meeting the goals that you've set? Where are the landmines? Have we found any landmines? What are the successes? But at the end of the day, you'll have a strategic plan that I think will be very clear, something that you can be very proud of, and something that I think will communicate to your community what you're about and what the promises are that you're going to keep. And that's basically, I'm sure that you've seen a similar process. I'm now that this isn't anything that's brand new. Is there anything that I'm missing, or any specific concerns that you have or questions that you might have on our plan, our process, on who we are?
So thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for providing that presentation. I'm pretty sure we do have some questions, so I am going to go ahead and open it up to the board so that they can share those questions or comments or concerns with you.
Good.
Any questions for communication by design?
Yes, President Robinson.
You have the floor, Secretary Triplett.
Okay, I do have a few questions to ask. First of all, where is East China Public Schools located?
That's on the east side of the state. I've been there a million times. I should be able to tell you, but it's kind of, I think it's near the Thumb area. That helps at all?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
The questions that we've asked prior to this, when people who have the presenters, have you done any work with districts that have the same demographics as the Ben Harbor area schools?
Is there anybody else, any other school district that's like Benton Harbor schools?
No,
You guys are unique.
No, I asked, have you done any strategic planning with school districts that look like Benton Harbor area schools demographics, which is about 98% African American, listed and in the bottom 5% of the state as it relates to academics in so many different areas, perceived by others as being one of the lowest performing school districts in the state. Have you done any work? I don't see any uniqueness in that as it relates to urban education and the things that urban education is experiencing at this particular juncture. So have you done any work with any school district that looked like ours?
From the standpoint of when you say look like ours, the things that you've kind of mentioned, I can tell you that we've worked with Bay City schools, Taylor, East Detroit, and Dearborn Heights. We've worked with Holland Public Schools, Muskegon Public Schools. We're working with Wayne Westland Schools right now. That's how I met Dr. Townsell. So we've had a rich experience on all sides of the spectrum in terms of strategic planning.
Okay, so you work with them on their strategic plan?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone else have any questions, comments, or concerns for Communications by Design? If you all think of additional questions, I know that we received the information today. If you all have additional questions, please forward those to Dr. Townsell so we can try to get those clarified. And I believe you may have wanted the floor. Go ahead, Treasurer Creighton.
I'm sorry, I was just going to ask, is there, do they already have a cost, what something like this will cost our district?
The proposal, I'm sorry, Dr. Townsell, go ahead.
I say yes, it's listed in the proposal at the bottom. It's $8,000 for this support. I want to add to our Board of Trustees, I had the pleasure of working with Communications by Design and Wayne Westland when I served as the assistant superintendent on two specific projects, being one, the secondary redesign, where we opened up a middle school and redesigned how we do secondary education in Benton Harbor, in Wayne Westland Community Schools by developing a portrait of a graduate. Additionally, they supported us with our bond that we passed, $156 million, with the new construction at 2 high schools. So that's my experience of this company. And, you know, I'm just trying to bring the things that I know that worked for me in the past, where I gained some success, is trying to, you know, run the same play right here so we can get some of these short, quick wins. I do believe a strategic plan is necessary to get the academic return on investment for everything we do for our young people. So I personally want to thank Ms. Easter for submitting us to the proposal on yesterday, and also our board for allowing us to get this presentation on the agenda. Up until yesterday, since we had the last 2 presentations, this is the only other submission. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions that any trustee members submit to me. We get that answered up. And I do know we have a retreat coming up. And maybe that could be something we can add to our retreat agenda so we can, you know, rock and roll and, you know, do some great things to enhance the education experience of our young people. But thank you so much, President Robinson.
Thank you. I believe Trustee Raquette Martin, do you have a question? I see you. You're
Oh,
muted.
I
Go ahead.
just wanted to get some clarification. On the strategic planning, I understand that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that we as a community and as a school district will be doing our own planning with the company just really providing guidance. Am I correct in
That
thinking?
is exactly correct.
Okay.
We do more listening and poking than anything else. We know the right questions to ask. We know how to challenge certain assumptions and thoughts, and we know how to document it. And we know how to, once we understand where you're going, we can help you assess it and measure it and implement. But it really is your plan. It's
Right.
all you.
So basically, the work that we do, we're the ones that really need to know about our district and what our district needs, and that's what we will do. So,
Yes.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was thinking in the right frame.
You're right on.
Madam President,
You have the floor, Vice President Bradley.
I just wanted to say that I just wanted to comment and say real quick that I really enjoyed the presentation. I did have a chance to look over it this afternoon while I had some downtime. And I really, just like I said, the simple fact that, it's going to involve the community. And if we, so if we go into this direction, I did like some of the things that I did here, especially how they have a focus point on the making sure that all the stakeholders from the community are involved. So I did like that. So thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. I appreciate your thoughts. Very kind.
Anyone else for any questions, comments, or concerns for Ms. Easter?
Yes, I do have another question. How are the stakeholders, the community stakeholders, whatever stakeholders mean, how are these people, community people, identified to come to the table? Is it just open up to the entire community? How do you go about identifying who are actually quote unquote stakeholders?
We would speak with your administrative team about members of the community that church faith leaders, business leaders, parents. We'd like to get a broad spectrum of voices in this conversation. And since we're not part of your community, we would be asking you to collect people that you would like to invite. And then I think we would publicly announce that this process was happening and that the meetings were being held, and invite anybody who has an interest and has a voice that would like to be part of this. We would love to have them to be involved.
So there could be a radio advertisement and all these different things, because we definitely want to get a cross section of the community, like this right here. Like you said, the lady who spoke so eloquently prior to you coming on, Ms. Gavin, the Black Wall Street. There are several people in there who have, with the Fresh Start initiative and things that's been presented to this board, this would be a great opportunity. Things
Yes.
that community organizations, fraternities, sororities, healthcare workers, all of this, because I'm looking at the district from a completely different perspective, and all of you all have presented that you all will definitely be, like you all will be leading the work, but the work is done in the community.
Exactly, Mr. Triplett. That's exactly right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one simple, quick question. Speaking to that, do you all have a range of suggested participants that you provide to us, or is that up to us?
No, we would provide some suggestions, some guidance to help you start to think about who would be good people to involve in this. And Mr. Triplett did a great job of just rattling off some really key people that would have a great voice in this whole process. But we would be providing some assistance to help you think about people in your community that would be good to include in this process.
Okay, thank you.
President
Thank you.
Robinson.
Yes, Treasurer Creighton, you have the floor.
I just had another quick question. Do you all have like a sample or a strategic plan from another district that you've worked with that we can view?
We do. And I can get that to Dr. Townsell still tonight. If not
Okay.
tonight, first thing in the morning. I'd be happy to give that to you. That's
Thank
a
you
great
so much.
question.
Thank you.
And
I
I'll make
agree.
sure President Robinson and Treasurer Creighton that I get that. As soon as I get it, I'll ensure I forward it to our executive cabinet as well as our board of trustees, just so we can have something to think about, ponder over, and hopefully have further conversation about the direction we'll go with regards to strategic planning.
I agree. That was an excellent question. Did we ask that question to any of the other two? I don't believe that was inquired prior. Do you think that's something feasible, or can we check to see if that's something feasible?
I think this is the first time that question was asked, but it was an excellent question.
Okay, thank you.
I think that it's very important that we, first of all, see the work, see some of the work that they have done. It's been kind of difficult to get information from the two. So I didn't get a chance to ask Ms. Easter because I don't know how long they've actually been doing strategic planning with districts. But I did ask the other two presenters if there was any success data of the work that they had done, where how they led the work and districts who actually have some success data.
That is a great question. And I will have to go back to Dr. Green and we'll put our heads together. But if we should absolutely have that. And I would love to forward that to you. That's a great question.
And what is Dr. Green's name, his first name?
Rodney Green.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
It looks like both of their names and contact information is on page 5 of the proposal under the cost information as well. Secretary Triplett.
Yeah, I just got. I'm on the school district's computer, and I'm barely holding on this evening.
Okay. I'll send you some prayers.
Hallelujah.
President Robinson.
Yes, Treasurer Buchanan, Trustee Buchanan, you have a question?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's a comment or a question, but you know, in the past we've had programs, but you have people in the community that will be glad to be involved in things for the Benhouse area school. I like to go and talk to a different one. You still on the board? What one? They get somebody that really knows. Say, for instance, Mr. Triplett. He's well known in Ben Harbor. Everybody know him. We need to get some of these mothers that want to, like our kids go to St. Joe lecture or whatever, to bring them back in the community, but something that gonna really work. Because like when we interviewed Dr. Townsend for the superintendent job, I did some phone calls. It was nothing, it was all right. So, you know, I've seen programs come in this district and fade away. So we need to make sure our stakeholders are involved in it. You know, let them get involved for real, because our kids are very, very important, especially to me, to the whole board. We are, that's why we on the board. And make sure that they have some alliance for them when as they grow old, our great grandkids and their kids. So we need to think of that.
I love
I
your
enjoy
passion. Your passion is beautiful. I love that. That's so wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. So we, of course, want to thank you for providing your proposal information to us and being prepared to do a presentation on such quick notice. So we are sincerely grateful for your presence this evening. If there are any additional questions that our board has, they will send that information to Dr. Townsell. He'll get that forwarded to you. And then we look forward to receiving your example proposal and any clarifications that are provided from our questions that we send to you. So thank you so much for your presence this evening.
Thank you. I just would like to tell you that I attend a lot of board meetings and you are so professional and so crisp in the way you keep moving this along. This has really been fun to see how you guys address your business. This has been a pleasure and I appreciate this opportunity and I look forward to more conversations in the future.
Thank you so much for that compliment. We are working every day to get better. So I sincerely
love
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I'd like to be part of that process with you.
Thank you.
And with that, I think that I'm going to leave you. Is that okay?
Yes, that's perfectly fine. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
All right, next on our agenda is our review of board norms. So once we are back in person, we will have these on our table laminated front and back, but until we do, we'll just review them prior to our meetings. They're just a quick review. So the Board of Education norms for Benton Harbor area schools, we will treat each other with respect. We will listen to learn. We will refrain from side conversations. We will use our time wisely, starting and ending our meetings on time, which we are trying very hard to do, but that's a work in progress. We will challenge ideas, not people. We will ask questions when in doubt. There will be no surprises at the board table. We will practice the 7 norms of collaboration. And then our norms of collaboration are pausing, paraphrasing, posing questions, putting ideas on the table, providing data, paying attention to self and others, and presuming positive intentions. So thank you all. Next on the agenda, we have the Berrien RESA General Fund Operating Budget. I do want to mention that there were some questions that Secretary Triplett asked last meeting as it relates to funds coming to the district. I did attempt to send a question of clarification regarding that particular request, and that was forwarded to the Director of Business and Finance, Scott Knoll, but I haven't received a follow-up regarding that particular clarification. So once he does follow up with that question that I sent to him, I can get that forwarded to the board if there's additional breakdowns of the budget or clarifications as it relates to how much Benton Harbor Area School receives. But I have yet to receive a response from them, and I did send that out on Thursday. So the board report as it stands, this is board report B1. Reason for board consideration: Michigan law requires intermediate school districts to share their proposed operating budgets with local school districts each spring. Facts and analysis: the ISD provided a copy of its proposed budget in April. State law states that by June 1st of each year, the board of each constituent district shall review the proposed intermediate school district budget, shall adopt a board resolution expressing its support for or disapproval of the proposed intermediate school district budget, and shall submit to the intermediate school board any specific objections and proposed changes the constituent district board has to the budget. The law further states that if an intermediate school board receives any specific objections or proposed changes, the intermediate school board shall consider the proposed budget changes. Policy reference none. Recommended action: that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to adopt the Berrien RESA budget resolution as presented. Approved for presentations to the Board of Education to be voted on today during regular session. Can I have a motion to approve board report B1?
So move.
It has been moved. Oh, Secretary Triplett beat you, Vice President Bradley, but you can second or support if you like. So it has been moved by Secretary Triplett that we accept and approve board report B1. Is there a second?
Second.
Are you the second, Vice President? Okay. So it's been moved by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley that we approve board report B1, which is the Berrien RESA General Fund Operating Budget Resolution. Any questions, comments, or concerns before Secretary Triplett calls the vote? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett, you have the floor.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you. So Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education has voted to approve the Berrien RESA General Fund Operating Budget Resolution. Next on the agenda is Black Wall Street. So at last week's meeting, per the conversation that we had, it was clear that there was some follow-up questions and additional information that the board wanted prior to actually taking a vote. Our beloved Treasurer Creighton volunteered to assist with ensuring that this information or this initiative is pushed forward by the Board of Education as it relates to us actually taking a vote or some form of action. And so there was an email that was sent asking for board members to send any additional questions that we have for either Mrs. Gavin's committee or for Mr. Reed regarding the rezoning of our school district. I know I was copied on 2 emails. Treasurer Creighton, did you receive any additional?
I did put the questions together. I'm not sure how many emails, but
Okay.
I compiled the questions.
Okay, so we have a list of questions, Ms. Gavin, I know that you're on the line, that we're actually going to be sending to you, that were compiled by the board so we can ensure that we have questions, get those questions or those clarifications. And then did you have any follow-up from individuals who want to meet with Mr. Reed, Ms. Treasurer Creighton?
I think that the majority of the board just wanted to learn more about zoning.
Okay.
I think there's some, some information and clarity needed about zoning and the responsibility of a governing body to, whether we have input on that or not.
Okay, so we, for me, I know that if we were to schedule a meeting and it's the majority of us, it kind of counts as a board meeting. So I know what we did prior, for example, when we met with the Department of Treasury, is we split ourselves into 2 different units of individuals. And so what I shared with Ms. Creighton is that if there were all 7 of the board that wanted to meet with attempting to do half and half, I would be willing to sit back and maybe watch the recorded meetings to allow other trustees to attend that meeting and get the clarifications from Mr. Reed. So I did ask that you send that information to Treasurer Creighton prior to Saturday. If you have not had a chance to send either your questions or your interest in participating in that meeting, please do so, because we want to make sure that everyone that may want to meet with him has an opportunity to do so on a scheduled time that we're going to get scheduled. But I did not put it on the agenda for vote today for that particular reason, but Treasurer Creighton is taking the lead and I appreciate you for doing so. And I did, just so everyone knows, I checked with our chair, Vice President Bradley of Operations and Facilities, to ensure that he didn't feel that I was pushing him to the side and giving Treasurer Creighton the lead on this particular initiative, but she did volunteer and I am sincerely grateful for that. So if you all have any questions that you want to send to her or seek any updates on where we are, please feel free to send her an email. But at this particular time, I want to see if there's any other questions, comments, or concerns by the board as to this particular initiative or any additional thoughts that may have not been provided last week. And I'll open the floor up to the board. Trustee Buchanan, you're unmuted. Did you have something to add?
No, not yet.
All righty.
Can you hear me?
President Robinson, I'm available to answer the questions that were sent. I just saw them,
Okay.
but I can answer them, and I believe Mr. Reed is here as well.
Mr. Reed is on the line.
President Robinson,
Yes, Secretary Triplett.
for point of clarification, when I saw the email that was sent out to in regards to us asking our questions and getting our questions, so we have to submit our questions to Treasurer Creighton.
Yes, sir. So she's fabulous in that she volunteered at the board meeting, and I accepted that volunteer opportunity. And so she has worked to get all of the questions together. And what I intended for her to do was actually get those forwarded to Ms. Gavin so that we can get a written response. And then I believe that you actually indicated that you wanted a meeting with Mr. Reed. And so I was attempting to get us 2 opportunities to get those scheduled.
I think that's a great plan of action.
Okay.
Because I did not get a chance to submit my questions to Treasurer Creighton as well. And so how we would break that out, it would be will it be like a list that's compiled? Is there any way that list of questions can be sent out to us before they are actually submitted to Mrs. Gavin for a written response so that we would be able to have some information.
Yeah, so if you haven't sent yours, Secretary Triplett, if you could try to get those sent to her this evening. And then I'm not sure, I know the only questions that I saw were from Trustee Bowens and Vice President Bradley, but I did not require that you all copy me on that at all. So if there's any member of the board that did not get a chance to send those questions to Treasurer Creighton, and I know Trustee Buchanan may need to maybe just make a quick phone call to Treasurer Creighton. If she has questions to add, please get those sent to Treasurer Creighton. And then Ms. Gavin, what I'll actually do is Treasurer Creighton already has a set list. I'll allow her to add anything additional that may not have been sent to her. And then we'll get that email document sent to you. And that way you can give us responses that can be forwarded to the board.
President Robinson, I'm ready to answer those questions right now.
Well, I don't believe we have the questions from Secretary Triplett. So is it okay with you that we send those to you via email?
And
So go ahead, Secretary Triplett.
Yeah, there's some questions. We need to go with the format that we're using, making sure that we have all of our questions submitted, because it is very important that we have clarification. And then once we get the responses back in writing from Ms. Gavin, and I don't know if like my request to be able to have a conversation, how we would do that with Mr. Reed as it relates to what we need to do as it relates to going before the Planning Commission and establishing timelines and goals and getting all that clarification so that we can make an informed decision. So I will definitely get my questions submitted as soon as possible.
Okay, and if you all have not responded or confirmed to her that you want to meet with Mr. Reed, please do so that we know how many people are wanting to meet. If it's more than 3, then we'll have to ask him for a second meeting so that we are not having an unofficial board meeting or being out of order as far as the OMA is concerned. So please, if you all did not get a chance to do that by Saturday afternoon, as requested, if you could send those to her by, after tonight's board meeting to ensure she has it no later than tomorrow morning, and she can get those sent to Ms. Gavin. And Ms. Gavin, I appreciate you for being prepared and ready to answer tonight. I did not know that everyone did not get a chance to send those questions forward to Treasurer Creighton, but I do appreciate you being prepared this evening.
President Robinson, I've been prepared since day one, and we're on day 28. And I did talk with Trustee Triplett for 2 hours.
Well, I appreciate it.
I am. We have been prepared. We have been ready to speak, just like the other people who have had opportunities to do presentations and do back and forth and answer questions. We would have liked to have that same respect that we've seen other organizations get, especially with us being community members. And I must say that I'm not seeing that same respect with us. And so
Ms. Gavin,
I thank you. I'm going to go on mute and I'll turn the floor back over to you.
So one thing that I want to clarify, Ms. Gavin, I don't want you to think that there's a lack of respect in our board wanting to ensure that they have clarifications. And so I know that I did ask for everyone to give their questions to Treasurer Creighton by Saturday. We in no way are meaning to disregard you, but I know that our board is a board that likes to ensure that they are fully informed. And so I know that those planning the initiative feel as though they have provided us with the information that we need, but there are trustees that are saying that they need more information and would like more clarification. And so as a president of the Board of Education, I want to ensure that I'm doing things in a manner that makes all board members feel safe and comfortable with taking a vote on something as major as this. So I do appreciate your patience and all of your effort and support that you have provided in bringing this initiative to the Board of Education. So next on our agenda, are there any other questions, comments, or concerns regarding the Black Wall Street initiative from the board prior to moving forward? All right, hearing none. Next is the financial recovery agreement. And last week I did let you all know that I was planning to make a general statement regarding the financial recovery agreement. I did provide board members an opportunity to send me any questions or concerns or clarifications if they wanted to make an adjustment to the statement that I had prepared. Did not receive anything from anyone. And so at this particular time, I'm going to make that statement regarding the financial recovery agreement. And then this will also be sent on to the Michigan Department of Treasury. The Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education, the board, has negotiated with the Michigan Department of Treasury concerning a financial recovery agreement since July 22nd, 2020. Both parties have discussed and attempted to reach a compromise that would strengthen the district's financial condition. In the past 6 months, the district's financial condition has improved significantly, and the district is getting closer to eliminating its deficit. Consequently, the board has decided that it is in the best interest of all parties to cease further discussions concerning entering into a financial recovery agreement with Treasury. The board and district administrators look forward to a stronger financial future for the district and to continuing its important partnership with the Michigan Department of Treasury. So I just wanted to ensure that we actually provided that statement on the record at our board meeting. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns before I hand it over to Dr. Townsend? All right, hearing none, we're gonna move it right along. And if you guys have noticed, I am trying to move our meeting swiftly. I know that as the chair, I have the responsibility for ensuring that we get done timely. And I sometimes allow our discussions to, I think they're good discussions, but I am trying my best to make sure that we are having efficient meetings. So you'll notice I'm gonna be just moving us right along. So Dr. Townsend, it's in your hands now.
Thank you so much, President Robinson. Right now, I'm going to read the staff report for the Dropout Recovery Program through Graduation Alliance. We've talked about this for the past couple of months, and I'm more than happy to share this information. So, reason for consideration: the Board of Education recognizes the need to provide alternative means by which students achieve the goals of the district. This program is to provide regular and vocational education opportunities for eligible students, which would include those students who have been expelled, referred by a court, or a pregnant or a parent, were previously a dropout or determined to be at risk of dropping out. The facts and analysis: the contract from Graduation Alliance Incorporated states that they will provide the district a policy and operations manual, instructional model, attendance policy, student services, and how program exceptions are managed. Graduation Alliance will also provide an account portal for the district to monitor the program. They will offer tutoring, case management, and many other tools needed to help our students graduate. Policy reference 2370 educational options. The recommended action is that the Board of Education, the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education, approves the contract for Graduation Alliance. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Townsend. Can I have a motion to approve staff report S1?
I'll make a motion to approve staff report S1.
Is there a second or support?
Support.
All right, the motion has been made by Vice President Bradley and supported by Trustee Buchanan. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report S1 and Graduation Alliance?
I do have a question that's important to me. Is this Graduation Alliance in partnership in any wise with Connexus? Dr. Townsend?
No, it is not.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, I would like to also see the detailed plan of action and how it looks as soon as possible, because this is very, very important. I think we had some amazing discussions last week in our meeting, in our work session. And so I did get some clarification, but I am a little anxious and I would like to see this as soon as possible. Is that possible?
Copy. I'll forward whatever information you would like.
Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
President Robinson.
You have the floor, Treasurer Creighton.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to follow up as well because I thought that we would receive that information. I think I have that in my notes. And also, are there any other districts that we know of that are using Graduation Alliance? And how long is the contract? Those are my two questions.
Thank you. Yes, a district that we know that is using Graduation Alliance is Wayne Westland Community School District, where I served as the Assistant Superintendent of Education Services, where I supported all secondary education. I supervised all high schools, middle schools, alternative education, career technical education programs. One thing that I shared is that my goal is to run the plays that I know work, that increase student achievement, and we get the highest academic return on an investment. Additionally, I do know that there is a charter school coming this fall specifically for dropout recovery, the Bridge Academy, that is coming to literally take these exact young people and do the exact same work that we're trying to do. So there's a little competition there, and I would love to service all of the young people in the 49022 that should go through Benton Harbor area schools and become Tigers. Now, with regard to contract length, this contract will expire on August 31st, 2022. So the goal is to get this approved yearly. We see the appropriate academic return on investment. I'd love to get that renewed. That's what I like to do, is hold people to the outcomes, the results, the data, the evidence, and see if we get that student achievement that we're looking for.
President Robinson.
You have the floor, Secretary Triplett.
Yeah, so since you've already done this at Wayne Westland, it should not be any problem having a plan presented to us like immediately, because you already know this like the back of your hand. So I'm excited to see what plan of action and what you did up there and what would be applicable here. So I'm looking forward to getting that information as soon as possible. Thank you.
And I have one last thing to follow up, if that's okay, President Robinson.
You have the floor, Treasurer Creighton.
Okay, I guess I was wondering, and this has kind of been my question. You know, we do have our tape, which is like the former Dream Academy. And so I just wondered how this is different, or are we duplicating the same thing? Because I remember hearing a presentation of tape and looking through, you know, the materials that I have about tape. And it seems like we have a program that's currently addressing the needs of that same demographics. And so I just kind of wondered, you know, how does this differ, or will they be working together? Like, how is that going to work? Will we then need to hire, you know, additional staff and support to implement Graduation Alliance? Like, what is the overall plan for the implementation of Graduation Alliance? You know, how it stands. So I don't want to ask a whole bunch of questions. I think if we, you know, receive some information and or a presentation like we were expecting, you know, we don't have to kind of go back and forth, but we'll have all the information as presented.
Yeah, and I can answer that question. I answered that previously. So it is not the same as our alternative school. Alternative education is alternative education. If you think of a multi-tiered system of support, 3 tiers, the universal level is our high school. We have Benton Harbor High School, where every traditional 912 student go through. Students that are potentially overage, underaccredited, and don't make it in that traditional setting have an alternative opportunity to go to our CAPE Center, which is for targeted support for young people to achieve their degrees, their high school diplomas. Graduation Alliance is an intense support of students that dropped out before, young people that's been, that are parents, young people that have been incarcerated in some cases that would like to re-engage into school to get their high school diploma. That's a more intense population. So if you think of it as a multi-tiered system of support, you have the universal high school students in Benton Harbor area schools that go to Benton Harbor High School. You have targeted students that go to alternative schools, and you have that intense support for that dropout recovery. We're going to be looking to reclaim some young people back that's dropped out years ago. We got to get them back re-engaged so they can make positive contributions to our global society. So it's not the same at all.
Okay, any other questions, comments, or concerns?
Dr. Townsend, so you said.
Go ahead, Trustee Raquel Martin.
So there's no age limit. Is there an age limit? You know, you said past students, and I'm all for that. But I know the state has age limits for like the high school students and those kinds of things. So what would be the age limit that you're looking at?
That's a great question. When I think of an education in Michigan, I think the maximum age is 26. but I do have an opportunity to double check specifically for Graduation Alliance. Young people must be eligible. I can get you what, I don't want to misspeak on the age limit for that, but I do know adult education or education in Benton in Michigan goes up to 26.
That would be special education students. Am I not correct?
That is correct.
So we need to make sure, I guess the question would be, what would be the age limit? How far can we go back to get those students in this particular program? And would it be aligned to be competitive with what Bridge is offering, or this new, whatever school that I'm talking about?
Yep, the new charter school. Yes, sir. I'll find that information out for all of the trustees. Is there an age limit? I think that's a great question. The first time I heard that question.
Thank you so very much.
One other question, Dr. Townsend. Is it possible that your program could even maybe tilt over if they are like 27 maybe into an adult ed type thing where you still could service? Is that something that could possibly also be feasible for your program to do?
Well, we do have adult education. That's a great question. We do have adult education, but this is its own track. But
yes.
I'll ensure that we can kind of peel back the layers on Graduation Alliance so they can be complete understanding on what it does to support young people. Literally, there are kids in the Benton Harbor area or the 49022 that are not in school that probably would love to go back to school, but are probably, seasoned being out of school. We got to reclaim them, get them back in. And from my experiences, it's been a great opportunity supporting students. And my hope is that it does the same where we can get the academic return on investment for the students of Benton Harbor area schools.
One thing for sure, Dr. Townsend, and to the Board of Education, throughout the training, the Michigan Association of School Boards, this is commonplace across the state. There are students all over the state of Michigan, in particular, in this COVID season that have just disappeared. And so I think that this right here, we do have, when you talk about compensatory education and the ages and what have you, and how that works, there are guidelines to what it can, what the age of the student, when they age out and what have you. But we do have a lot of students, if that would be within those parameters, that just stopped going to school or somewhere along the line, we lost them. But as I stated in the work session, we are going to have to do some intense work, some serious intense work, some targeted amounts of students, pulling the records, data. You got new Power School people. We just hired Missy Jones. All of those different forces right here can identify those students who have just fallen off the map, and we need to be able to do that. I'm almost positive that we can find 100 students to be able to benefit from that program. If there's anything that I can do to help along the way, I am really, really willing to do it. I do know a lot of families in the community, so I am prepared to assist in any way that would, as long as it's not in violation of what our responsibilities and things are. So thank you.
Board of Trustees, if you would like, I do know that we have our Graduation Alliance representative here that I will be able to call to the microphone where we can pepper the representative with some specific questions to answer whatever it is you'd like to know. Is that okay for the trustees?
I would allow that, Dr. Thomas.
President Robinson?
Treasurer, you have the floor, Treasurer Creighton.
With all due respect and fairness, is it fair to allow them to do that? And we had an agenda item that we did not allow discussion or conversation from that representative.
Are you pertaining to Graduation Alliance?
Yeah, I'm just asking because our Black Wall Street Zone did ask for, to be able to answer their questions, and we didn't grant them that time. So is that something that we should do just to be fair? I'm just asking.
No, that's actually an awesome point, Treasurer Creighton. So this particular item is on the agenda for a vote this evening. I'm not sure if the questions that the trustees asked are going to prevent us from taking the vote, but if there's additional follow-up information that we want for our records after, we could just send the email and receive follow-up on those questions.
Yeah, and I'm totally fine with that. Just send them in. I don't want to break any process or want to do anything that appears unfair. So I'm totally fine with answering those questions, these additional questions in an email. I'm fine with that.
And President Robinson, I think with our upcoming board retreat, that would be a great time to get more clarification so that it can be more intimate and, you know, people can come into the board retreat. They can tune into the board retreat and what have you. But I think that would be a great time for us to get those clarification points.
Thank
President
you.
Robinson,
Yes, Treasurer Creighton.
I would like to make a motion that we table the Graduation Alliance for further discussion and clarity to a future board meeting or retreat.
Okay, so Treasurer Creighton had, so there was a motion, if I'm not mistaken, there was a motion that was made to approve staff report S1. Am I not mistaken? Am I mistaken? That motion was made and seconded, Secretary Triplett?
Yes, it was to approve it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you remind me of who made that initial motion?
Okay, let me pull here. The motion was made by Trustee Bradley and supported by Trustee Buchanan.
Okay, so Trustee Bradley, Treasurer Creighton is wants to enter a motion to table this discussion item. Are you in favor of withdrawing your motion? So that, you know, I just want to see where you all are on that.
I'm personally, I'm okay with the motion that's on the table currently.
Okay, so can we have further conversation on this particular topic? Because the motion was made and seconded. And I know that there's additional questions, but I'm not sure if those are questions that's preventing us from taking a vote.
But at this time, she put a motion on the table, on the floor for us to table this until we get more information. I would like to ask, I know it's time sensitive, but there seems to be a lot of more questions and what have you, clarification points and what have you that we weren't able to get the complete response for. And so she's asking for us to this is not saying that we're not going to support it. This is just saying for more information, because I think we got some good information at the last, at the work session, but there are still some things that need to be clarified and that it can come back up. And we'll also have some more time if we have our retreat to be able to get clear so that we can, again, make informed decisions.
Dr. Townsend, can you clarify, do we have a deadline to take vote on this particular program?
You know, I really wish I had these questions prior to today, because we will, if we do table it, we will not have an opportunity to help some students for the next 5 weeks for graduation, but I'll do whatever the board wants to do. Please get those questions to me. You know, we've been talking about this since February. I really wish I had all the answers, you know, so you can have all the information, but please pepper me with more questions. We get whatever it is you need.
And Madam President, I was under the impression, I thought that we had a lengthy discussion about this for the prior meeting. So that's why I'm in favor of we just go and vote for it, because I know we've been in discussion with this. So here in these last few meetings, and I know we had a lengthy discussion about it last meeting, I think the meeting before. So I was under the assumption that we all had, you know, our questions answered.
Madam President.
Okay, so 1 second, because what I've noticed is that when we have discussion topics that we're in a disagreement with, we tend to start talking over each other. So I am going to just give you all I'm going to call your name one at a time so that we don't start having an actual debate and can continue with professional, orderly business. Treasurer Creighton, go ahead. You have the floor.
I'm in agreement with, I'm not saying that I'm against it. I think at the last meeting, and if we can pull the minutes, if we need to, I think we requested this information at the last meeting. And from my knowledge, and forgive me if I looked over it, but I have not received any follow-up or correspondence in response to those questions that we did ask at the work session. So I know that this has been on the, on the table for discussion, but I haven't seen any follow-up with the questions or concerns. I was looking forward to a presentation of some sort or, information so that I don't have to, we don't have to kind of do this at the table. We can kind of do our research and just ask clarifying questions. But I haven't received any correspondence in response to those questions or concerns with Graduation Alliance.
Okay, thank you, Treasurer Creighton. Trustee Raquette Martin.
I am in agreement with Mr. Bradley, just simply due to the lateness of the hour and the need that we have in our district for our young people at this point. I am willing to go ahead and give it a vote tonight, if possible. I think it's very important that we get the ball rolling. While we're talking, children are failing. Children are going by the wayside. So I would like very much to get the ball rolling so we can at least try to help, as Dr. Townsend said, help those that can be helped by graduation, and then even for the future kids that may qualify for this program. The sooner we get started, the sooner the work gets done, the sooner we can vote, the sooner the work will get started, the sooner we can start recapturing our children and start making things better for them. So I am for going ahead and taking a vote tonight on this Dr. Townsend's Graduation Alliance.
Madam President.
You have the floor, Secretary Triplett.
First of all, for clarification purposes, this has absolutely nothing to do with our students graduating this year. The students who are seniors in high school right now, this has absolutely nothing to do with that. So I thought I heard Trustee Martin think that because if we don't vote for this tonight, we have students that won't graduate. This is at the third tier. This is about recruitment. We've had a discussion, and I have to agree with what Treasurer Creighton is saying. It's not about anybody saying that they're not going to support it or not do it, because we've had, like Vice President Bradley said, we've had some intense discussions and questions, but we were also waiting to get information back, which we have not yet received. And so when we asked the question about what would be the age limit and those types of things, which the superintendent said that he would get back to us, and with 26 being that for special education, I just think that there's some more things that needs to be presented, and there's some more clarifying points. And I think that we have to be consistent in our thoughts, and we can't pick and choose and say that for this particular initiative, we want to get more detailed information. And for this particular initiative, it's okay. I think we should just go ahead, rubber stamp, and just blindly vote for it. It's, again, I am in support of the Graduation Alliance. However, there were some questions that were asked tonight that were not able to be answered clearly. It is not going to happen. It's not going to affect us this week. If, as the superintendent said, there is no timeline other than the fact that we need to get involved and be urgent with it. Also, I think that it is important, and it's good to know that our superintendent has, from his past employer, that he's done this work. So he can pull from his records and documentation and present it to us clearly, because we don't have the understanding. When you ask the question about the age, you didn't know, I didn't know, we did not know. So again, let us be consistent. Let us, if this was a matter of urgency, then we could go forth and step out a little. But I mean, I don't think, even if it's a matter of urgency, like you said, this has been going on since February, and we're still asking questions that have not yet been answered. So that's what it is. It has absolutely nothing with students graduating this year or not being able to graduate this year, for clarification purposes. So thank you.
Madam President, may I please speak? I'm sorry.
One second, Trustee Bowens. Dr. Townsend, if I'm not mistaken, you said something about them not being able to help students in the next 5 weeks. Can you clarify what you meant by that? I'm not sure if we misunderstood.
Absolutely. I want to get, I mean, I meet with parents every day. They want their kids in school supported now. And I'm just trying to work right now for our families. And, you know, our next board meetings is in June. You know, if I can get something rolling now, you know, I would feel great as a leader in the community supporting education. But whatever the board wants, I work at the pleasure of the board. So whatever the board supports, I'll go with that.
Okay, Trustee Bone.
I thank you so much, Honorable President. I have also done research. I also asked questions during last week's work session. So we could be able to vote on this today. I researched Ann Arbor Public Schools, Ypsilanti Public Schools, other school districts throughout the state of Michigan use this, and it hasn't been a success for their children. I believe that this can be vital in fighting with our competition and winning, having the spirit of winning and restoring that tiger pride. I am also in favor of us voting for this today. Thank you.
Madam President.
Vice President Bradley, you have the floor.
So like I said, I am in favor of this, and I understand what other people are saying. It's nothing about a rubber stamp or anything of that nature. But like I said, it looks like every time we come up on this issue, we're always having questions. And I know that we've had 3 months to discuss it. So I'm in favor of progress so that we can move forward, and so that we can get what we need to get in order to make sure that we are better serving our students, even those that are marginalized and are dropping out. So I'm in favor of us going and taking this vote so that we can keep on moving forward and making progress.
President Robinson?
Go ahead.
You have the floor, Treasurer Craig.
Okay, I kind of just want to, I guess, clarify that I'm not saying that I'm not in agreement with Graduation Alliance. I guess when it says a contract, I'm more worried about the specifications of that contract that we're agreeing to, the details of the contract. So I don't know if we're grouping it together or I misunderstood the resolution, but my question specifically, I was like, you know, the details of the contract worked out. So am I confused? Are we just approving Graduation Alliance as a program, or are we approving a contract?
Dr. Townsend, is the contract what is attached? Can you clarify that?
Yes, we're approving us to go into contract with Graduation Alliance. I do have the answer to the question that was asked tonight. This is the first time this question come up. This is through Graduation Alliance. The program is currently open to adults aged 23 and older who have completed at least the 10th grade. So that's the high school program that launches in Michigan. And Lansing jumped into this in 2018. So it's a specific criteria for eligible students to take advantage of the program.
And Dr. Townsend, will that also include those students that we've lost along the way too? So like high school students that we have lost along the way.
Absolutely. Our goal is to reclaim any of our young people that are in the community that should be, that needs a high school diploma. Mm-hmm. We got to scoop them up, get them the credentials that they need so they can go off and get excellent employment opportunities and go off to post-secondary opportunities. Without this opportunity or program in place, it'll be extremely difficult to do that because we don't have the resources to provide that high level of support for our young people, because it's something we're reclaiming. But this support, in addition to several successful districts across the state that have high academic achievement, but also young people who drop out as well. This is the support that they use. You know, I approved it for our alternative program, Wild and Wayne Westland. We had great, you know, support from the community, the principals, and it worked for kids. You know, my goal is to give our young people exactly what they need to be successful. If you know, whatever our board wants to do, I support that as well too. So I want you to be informed. If you don't feel comfortable, then my goal is to get you to a place of comfortability so we can do some amazing work for our kids who need the support.
Well, even that, what you just stated, gave me a whole bunch more clarification. And again, you know, I will always inspect what I expect myself. So I'm not doing this for anybody in particular, not throwing any shade or any of that. It is what it is, just like everybody have what it is that they do. You know, and it doesn't matter if we've been talking about it 3 months or 4 months or 5 months, if we're still not clear, then we're not clear. But we can't pick and choose what we're clear on and what we're not clear on and what we don't want to be clear on and what we want to be clear on. So again, I have said it, I don't have to say it, but I'm going to say it again, that I am in support of the Graduation Alliance, but I am not in support of answering of questions that are not able to be answered when they're asked, and I have to make a decision as it relates to that, because this is not my money, it is the community's money. Thank you.
Okay, Treasurer Creighton, did the clarification that Dr. Townsend just provided, did that answer your specific questions? Treasurer Creighton, I'm not sure if you're talking, you're still on mute.
I'm just pausing because, like, I guess I don't know. I had to take some responsibility because I was unaware that there was a timeline or anything. And again, I was just looking forward to hearing all of the questions that we have asked over the last couple of months. And so, yeah, so I'm good. I'm pausing. Thank you.
Okay, so my question for you at this particular time, if we were to move forward with the motion that's currently on the floor, because I did want to allow for discussion, would that be something that you would feel comfortable with?
Well, she has a motion, she put a motion in, but it hasn't been seconded yet.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought we couldn't make a motion because Vice President Bradley.
Yeah, Vice President correct. Vice President Bradley's motion was on the floor, and so I just allowed the conversation to continue with his, because we were within his motion, but I know that you were attempting to request that we table, and so I wasn't sure if the questions or the clarification that we've received through this conversation was satisfying to you, or if you wanted to proceed with your request to table and see if the board wanted to vote in that direction.
So am I allowed to table a motion during the current motion? I guess that's what I'm confused about.
So if you feel that you don't have sufficient information at this time to take a vote, you can try to enter the motion to table and the vote, because it seems like we're kind of torn on whether to table or proceed. We can take a vote to see if that's something that the board would like to do. But no one seconded the motion just yet. So I wasn't sure if you received the clarification or if that was something you still wanted to proceed with, or if you all were just ready to move forward with the vote.
If a motion does not get seconded, then it automatically fails, correct?
Correct.
So that can be noted.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll for Vice President Bradley's motion? And this was for the approval of staff report S1. Secretary Triplett, I'm not sure if you're speaking, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm up here hollering, trying to be strong. To my trustee, Rocket. No.
I thought maybe you were trying to get your papers together. I'm so sorry. I normally try to, I'm working on pausing and not rushing you all. And then I thought about you may not realize you were on mute.
No, I said Trustee Rocket name like 3 times. Trustee Rocket. And my computer was on mute. Trustee Rocket Martin.
You're on mute too, Trustee Rocket Martin.
I say yes to the acceptance of the Graduation Alliance.
Yes. Okay. Trustee Buchanan. Trustee Buchanan. Trustee Bowens.
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Are you okay? Thank you.
Are you saying yes, Trustee Buchanan?
Yes.
Okay.
Secretary Triplett.
Thank you, ma'am. Trustee Bowens.
Yes.
Treasurer Creighton.
I can't support it this time, no.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Vice President Bradley.
Yes.
And President Robinson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. So staff report S1 for the approval of Graduation Alliance has passed. Dr. Townsend, I know there was reference to additional questions that were asked prior. I will be completely honest, in the months that we've had our meetings, I'm not exactly sure which particular questions those are that are referenced. So I'm asking that the trustees, please, if there's questions that you haven't had answered, you can send those over to Dr. Townsend so we can ensure that we have this information clarified moving forward. And then that way we have all of the clarification that we need.
And
so we understand how this contract and how this program is going to work.
And at the work session, there were questions already there, so they should already have access to those questions that were asked from the last session. So you can just get a report back to us if that's at all possible, so that we can get some information. And I would also like for us to be able to, what Dr. Townsend asked for, the person to present at the retreat.
Duly noted, Secretary Triplett. All right, next up on the agenda is the new position to restructure the high school restructure plan for athletics, which is not requiring a vote, but Dr. Townsend just providing us with this information.
Yes, I had the opportunity to listen to the feedback from our previous work session to talk about high school restructuring. My goal is just to enhance the education experience for our young people and give them the education opportunities that they deserve. As one thing that I'm going to do as I move forward, I don't want to try to do too much. I want to ensure that I have the full support. But what I was thinking of was an assistant director of athletics and student activities. And like I shared previously, the goal is just to vertically align and capitalize on some of the things that we are successful in. The goal is to increase academics, athletics, and the arts. And this is an opportunity for that. The funding sources that come through Title I, 31A, which is at-risk fund, or our regional assistance grant. So an opportunity to not touch our general fund, but to give our young people the education experiences that they truly deserve. While listening, although I would like to make this an opportunity in the high school, I'm not 100% sure that I would do that, because I don't want to do too much to where, we don't know what's happening. But this is a proposal. I'm more than happy to take more input from our Board of Trustees as we ultimately decide what the support is going to look like as we move forward here in Benton Harbor area schools. There is no report that I was asking to approve. It's just the new position recommendation. And also, as we move forward, even though things don't affect the general fund, again, I don't want to do anything contrary to our board. So even if it's not required for board support, I would probably just ask for it just so I can know what I'm working with. And I want to be in complete alignment with our Board of Trustees so I can meet your vision and mission as well. So that's my position on the high school restructuring, new position recommendation. Although I really want to do it, I really love it, I think it's great for kids, I may not do it after listening to the information and taking that input into account. because again, I work at the pleasure of our board and I want to ensure that I'm meeting your needs. That's all that I have for that.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns for Dr. Townsend regarding the high school restructure plan for athletics?
Madam President, may I please speak?
You have the floor, Trustee Vaughn.
I just want to say thank you for listening, Dr. Townsend. It speaks volumes, and I feel like I was heard. Thank you so much. That's all I have to say.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns regarding?
Yes.
Go ahead, Treasurer Creighton.
Okay, I was looking into the policy. I know that we had some conversation about whether or not the new positions needed board approval. And I just wondered if Dr. Townsend received clarification or follow-up. I did look over the policy and it looked like all positions that were being created needed board approval. But I could be wrong. I'm just wondering, did we receive clarification on that moving forward?
Yes, we did receive clarification. I read that at the last meeting. I could pull it up here. If I can, I'm gonna try to do it quickly.
The policy.
I referenced the policy as well, and we got the opinion from the attorney, but I want to read it verbatim of what they said because Mr. Triplett commented on it last week after I read it. If you give me one hot second, please.
Okay, while he's pulling that up, Treasurer Creighton, do you have the policy number that you're referencing? I'm not sure if you all or
I'll have it right here because it's all in my whole statement.
Okay.
And then the other question or comment for that while he's waiting, I just wondered if there is I know that he has a lot of passion and a lot of things that he's planning, and I think it's great. I'm not against any of those things. I just wonder if there's some kind of way that I know we're looking to hire a company to do some strategic planning, but I think it would be so much easier and less frustrating, if we could get some kind of vision, like on paper, an outline, overview, just something so that we can see it. I know some people are, auditory learners, but I am more visual. And if I could see, how these things connect, I think I would probably have less questions. If we can just see some kind of vision on this is what my plan for Benton Harbor High School is, athletics, whatever, so on and so forth. I hope I'm making sense. Like I just like to see it.
Yeah, no, I think you're making perfect sense. And again, my goal is to meet your needs. So whatever it is you're specifically asking for, I'm gonna try my best to meet that need for you. So this is what I shared last week at our work session because it came up at our committee meeting, the question of creating new positions. So paraphrasing word from the attorney is the policy references policy P03-111, creating a position. And we had it interpreted by our attorney. It said, with the policy as it's written, it's our understanding that the board only approves positions that affect the general budget, not those funded with grants, title funds, since those change all the time. What I can do if the board really wants that, I would try my best to get that support, even for things you don't have to vote on, because I don't want it to be, I want to be aligned and in sync with our Board of Education. I don't want it to be this team versus that team. I think we're all one. And because that is a concern of our Board of Trustees at the HR committee, I would try my best to ensure that even if it's something, even if we write a position that get us $1 billion and I need to approve a project manager for that, I'm gonna ask the board to approve it. I think the only, the worry or concern I would have is if it's something that we really need and we was awarded and it's not, if it's not supported, then what does that mean for the opportunity? We probably have to give the money back and not take the opportunity. But I think that's valid. Again, I want to be aligned and in sync, and I don't want to do anything against our Board of Trustees' wishes. Does that answer your question?
President Robinson.
You have the floor, Secretary Triplett.
I think that there's, first of all, I did ask what attorneys gave this particular information to the superintendent. And I think you said it was Clark Hill, am I not correct? Dr. Townsend?
Correct.
Okay, so I think that there's a misinterpretation when we talk about the position. The board does not have to vote on the positions that are in the grant, but employees, people who are going to be recommended to sit in those positions, have to be approved by the Board of Education. So that's something that we need to really, really talk about. So you have a grant and you say you have to have a literacy coach and you have to have 10 secretaries and 32 teachers. The board does not vote on those positions, but the people that are voting, that you bring to before this board for recommendation for employment, that comes before the board. So I think you all need to get some clarification, and I will be seeking clarification for myself. But the positions in the grants and what have you, what they are, we don't have anything to do with that. But when you get ready to bring people and put them in these positions, then they have to come before the board. So please get some more clarification if you can, because I will definitely be looking into
Would love to do it. If I don't, I don't want to do anything contrary to what the opinions are. So, it's something I'm still working through and thinking through, and it may not happen.
But let us be clear, Madam President, that we are clear that this is not about individual, this is about policy. And so the policy specifically states, again, the positions, if Dr. Townsend looks at the position and bring that recommendation that this is a position that he think would be excellent for Benton Harbor area schools, when he gets ready to bring that recommendation before those people are hired, whomever he places in those positions, it must come before the Board of Education.
So I think what you're saying, Secretary Triplett, is that you're not disputing the development of the position, but your interpretation of the policy is who's hired in the particular role does need board approval.
It's not my interpretation of the policy. The policy.
No, I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying.
Yes, ma'am. It's not
Okay.
the interpretation of the policy. It is the policy. And so again, whoever gave that advice and what have you, we need to follow up on it, but we can move on. But I do not want Dr. Townsend to think that he cannot come up with creative ideas. You seem to be very passionate about it. And I'm going to support anything that's going to be great and good for our kids, but we want to make sure that we follow the policy of this Board of Education. It is our responsibility, and we will be held liable if we do not.
Okay, so
Madam President, sorry.
Trustee Bowens, go ahead. You have the floor.
Just for clarification purposes, I also want to make it clear that I'm not against this position. My stance was I want to see teacher pay increase. Our teachers are our lifeline, and I see a lot of positions being created, and that's what my stance was. I wasn't against this position per se. I was more wanting to see some teacher pay, and I just wanted to make sure that's for public record. I'm not fighting against the position or anything.
President Robinson?
Yes, Treasurer Creighton, you have the floor.
And just to kind of follow up what Trustee Bowen said, and also Secretary Triplett, I have no objection to this position or that position. It is just my hope to, like I said, see a vision, because we did ask for information about that literacy grant so that we can know what the vision is for that. And when you do think about literacy, and we know right now we are in the bottom 5% of the state. I would just like to see some more things too directly related to teaching and learning, specifically, that'll go directly to our students who are struggling. Our students are struggling academically. And so, again, I'm all for student services. I'm all for athletics. I'm not against it. So 2 things I just want to be noted is that, the policy that I'm referencing is not specifically for this position, just any position when it comes before the board, according to the policy, when creating new positions, it should go before the board. So that's one point that I was just like noted or clarified. And then the second thing, when we asked for, that information about the literacy grant, and the overview of everything that's included in that, it would just help us to understand. So if this is already in there, we write and work on the job description, we figure out the duals, roles, and responsibilities, so on and so forth. I'm sorry, not we figure it out, the superintendent and his, leadership team, and then it comes before the board, we do things decently and in order, and, we move on. So again, I'm not looking at one specific position over another. I was just like, to have the overview so that we can move forward, possibly, if we can do them all at once or whatever, we have a vision and we already know we have the funding for it. Let's work on this vision, tease it out, unpack it, figure out what it is that we need to do, hire the people that we need to hire, so we can have one conversation or 2 conversations. And it's not so choppy. And I know it's frustrating being on the other side of the table. So if we can just receive a complete report, in accordance to our board policy, which is what governs the 7 of us, I think it will be so much easier moving forward.
Okay, so normally when we have our board retreats, there's policies that are on there. So I'll just notate these particular 2 policies that were referenced, so we can discuss these further in our board retreat. And I know I've referenced the board retreat a couple times. The date that I'm anticipating is the 22nd of this month, which is next Saturday. I was going to actually announce that in new business, but while I'm mentioning that we'll put these items on there, I want to make sure I notate that particular date is the date that I had in mind for the board retreat. So we're gonna move forward with the agenda. Next, we have business and finance. I'm gonna pass it over to Mr. Johnson. He's gonna begin with staff report F1.
Thank you, President Robinson. Given that the staff reports were read at the last board meeting, and given that the staff reports were posted on the district website, and out of respect for the board members and the public's time, may I present my staff reports in summary form this evening?
You shall. You may. Go ahead.
The first report is the monthly financial reports. Reason for board consideration: a set of financial reports is provided to the Board of Education each month. The recommended action this evening is that the Board of Education approve the March 2021 payments for the funds listed on the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Can I have a motion to approve staff report F1?
So moved.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report F1? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll for vote?
Who supported that? Can you tell me?
Vice President Bradley.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan. Trustee Bowens.
Yes.
I got you, Ms. Buchanan. I got you, I got you, Trustee Buchanan. Treasurer Creighton.
Yeah.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Vice President Bradley.
Yes.
And President Robinson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. So staff report F1 has been approved by the board. We're going to move on to staff report F2, procurement card resolution.
Thank you. Reason for board consideration: procurement cards, also called purchasing cards or P cards, provide convenience, efficiency, and internal control advantages over credit cards. This evening, it's recommended that the Board of Education approve as presented the resolution authorizing issuance of individual procurement cards.
Can I have a motion to accept staff report, to approve and accept staff report F2?
I make a motion to approve staff report F2.
So I think Secretary Triplett beat you. So the motion has been made by Secretary Triplett that we approve staff report F2. Vice President Bradley, would you like to second?
Support.
Okay, so the motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley that we approve staff report F2. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the procurement card resolution?
I do have one question, and I did bring it up at the work session. I would definitely hope that there are some checks and balances as it relates to these cards and what have you, and that there is systems in place that would make sure that we that everybody who receives this is above reproach. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? All right, hearing none. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll for staff report F2?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton. Treasurer Creighton,
I'm sorry, yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, staff report F2 has passed by the Board of Education. Next on the agenda is staff report F3. And I know we're not necessarily taking a vote. I am going to place this on the agenda for the board retreat so we can have an opportunity to discuss this more in general, but I'll pass it over to Mr. Johnson. And if there's any questions that you all have that you did not get a chance to ask them last week, now would be the opportunity to do so, because it'll just be us going through the presentation and discussing this as a board. You have the floor, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. The reason for board consideration, the district has a significant amount of long-term debt, and all of the associated debt service costs for this debt are currently being paid out of the district's general fund, which strains the general fund. And as you saw in a previous packet, we have a table that lists the various options, including some pros and cons and questions and answers regarding the various options. And be happy to respond to any new questions that board members may have on these revenue generating options.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. So we're not actually taking a vote today. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for Mr. Johnson regarding the revenue generating options? Ms. Goodwin, you're not muted. But I'm trying to get us through. I'm trying to get us
No,
through.
I know. No, something came up at home here.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying. Okay. So I'm sorry. Can I have a motion just to accept, even though we're not taking a vote, can I have a motion to accept Mr. Johnson's report?
I move that we accept Mr. Johnson's report.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Second.
So the motion has been made by Trustee Rocket Martin and supported by I think that was Trustee Bowens. We're not actually placing a vote today, but are there any additional questions, comments, or concerns for Mr. Johnson before we proceed? We will have these items at our board retreat as stated, so we will be discussing these further, not actually taking a vote today.
Madam President, may I please speak?
You have the floor, Trustee
I'm
Bowens.
excited about discussing those. I believe once we get this debt under control and those revenue options, it brings us to the point where we can increase teacher pay and attract some of the best and brightest and retain some of the best. And I'm enthusiastic about this.
Thank
Proposals
you.
we have before us. Sorry.
No, you're fine. All right, hearing no additional questions or comments, we're going to proceed with the agenda. Mr. Johnson, Enhanced Deficit Elimination Plan.
Thank you. Reason for board consideration, a Michigan Department of Treasury representative requested a different form of board resolution for the board, for the Enhanced Deficit Elimination Plan, also called EDEP, that the board approved back in January of 2021. And so in the board packet, there is a revised resolution that is very similar to the version that was previously approved, I believe last year, and it more closely aligns with Treasury's preference. I've not received a new copy of the template from Treasury, but this is very similar to the most recently approved template or Treasury template. And the recommended action is that the Board of Education approve as presented the resolution to approve the enhanced deficit elimination plan.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Is there a motion to approve staff report F4?
So moved.
All right, so it has been, a motion has been made by Secretary Triplett. Is there a second?
Support.
Second.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley that we approve staff report F4. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the enhanced deficit elimination plan? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Now we are going to pass it over. So staff report F4 has been approved by the Board of Education concerning the enhanced deficit elimination plan. Now we're going to pass it along to Ms. Gale, who is going to begin with the Benton Harbor Area Schools turnover data presentation. Thank you.
President Robinson, we have actually presented this last time. Did you want me to present the same information again?
There may be some members of the community that weren't present, so you can just go through it a little bit quicker. I think we asked a good amount of questions last week, but if we could just go through it maybe quickly, that would be sufficient.
We can try that. It is a well-known fact that the turnover rate at Benton Harbor area schools was quite high, and we will now present exactly how high it was. Next slide, please. In the last 3 years, up until now, and the figures for this year are as of April 29th. That is the disclaimer here. The turnover rate at our district has actually increased. It came down from 38%, which is just astronomical, to let me just see, to 12% as present. That shows the improvement of 68%. Slide, please. If we adjust the figures for COVID, we see that 11 employees actually left this year directly due to COVID-19. So if we were to account for that, we would see that the adjusted rate, turnover rate this year would be cut in half. Slide, please. If, however, we look at the actual turnover rate, which represents the number of employees who left versus the number of employees employed at the time at the district, we need to account for our vacancies. These were vacancies as of September each school year. In 2018-19, at the beginning of school, that school year, we had 45 vacancies. At the beginning of 2019-20 school year, that number dropped down to 20. And you will remember that this year we started with 0 vacancies. Slide, please. If we account for those numbers, we actually arrive at the actual turnover rate. And we see that the turnover rate was even higher. It was close to 50% in 2018-19, and it went down to 11.9 or 12% this year, which shows the actual improvement of 76%, which is a really, really good news. It shows that data shows that the district is definitely trending in the right direction. Slide, please. If we look at the reasons of employee separations, we see that the resignations, retirements were definitely high, and each color represents the year we see that in 2018, the resignations were high, but then the number went down steadily. And then you will know RIF stands for reduction in force. And last year we did have to do some restructuring due to COVID-19. So it is important for us to understand why employees leave. It is also important for us to understand that often we're not able to control the reasons why people leave. People have life events, they move across the country, they get married, they retire. Those are things that we're not able to control. However, as we say, we do control the controllables. So slide, please. Improvement rate of 76% is actually quite significant, and it's actually a cause for celebration. And we have used various strategies. We have very systematically and diligently addressed employees' needs and concerns. One of those concerns I do want to point out is the teacher pay. And at the next board meeting, we will have a presentation on how the district has and continues to address that issue. We will provide details on that. Click, please. We have also made sure to communicate job expectations, and we have implemented fair evaluation system. Click, please. We have also made sure to provide adequate training to our employees. We have implemented a couple of systems and actually have instituted a state-of-the-art professional development program throughout the district through our Department of Teaching and Learning. A slide, please. We have also applied current policies and procedures consistently and equitably. Click, please. And we also strive to offer superb customer service. And to that end, click, please. We do have goals which may seem to be lofty to some people. Nevertheless, we do believe that they are quite attainable. We do want to position Benton Harbor area schools as the employer of choice in Southwest Michigan. And slide, please. And we are looking to lower the turnover rate to 4% or lower within the next 3 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Gill. You did an amazing job getting through that quickly. I appreciate you. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for Ms. Gill regarding this presentation? I know the board had an opportunity to see it last week.
Yes, Madam President.
You have the floor, Secretary Triplett.
Yeah, we will get an opportunity to discuss this more in depth because I don't want any surprises at the table in our HR meetings. And I did express my concern last week as it related to the number of African Americans and local African Americans in particular who have separated from this district. And so I would like to get some more data and some more information. Some of the things that I am doing right now as a member of the HR committee, I'm pulling some information together, and I do have some questions. It is great to see, according to this report, that there is some improvement, but I want it to be on the record that I am extremely concerned, and I will definitely be bringing those issues up at the next HR meeting and at our retreat. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Triplett. Next on our agenda, we have the Michigan CLSD grant joint presentation.
So we have actually invited Dr. Shelton to present in more detail on this grant, which was requested by the members of the HR committee.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, and I will go quickly as well. We presented it last week, but we're happy to go over it again, so I'll just wait for her to bring it up. So the grant is called the Michigan, well, let's see, where are you? Okay, fine. The Michigan Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grant. Go ahead. We wrote a letter of intent in November. Thank you, that's okay. We submitted the application in December. The award was supposed to happen in January, I believe. The award announcement actually came in March, and our first meeting was at the end of March. This is a foundational grant. Majority of grants that we get are not foundational. They are supplemental in nature, meaning that you use your general ed funds, and then on top of it, you use your title funds or your grant funds. This grant does not have any supplanting issues. This is about establishing a foundational literacy program in the district. We were one of 5 districts selected in the state, and our state was one of 11 states selected in the entire union. Michigan decided to implement year 1 right now. So we started behind the game. The entire cohort started behind the game. So we are doing a lot of work to get up to speed, to get the money spent within the grant years, et cetera. And just to quickly pre-message, we will be bringing to our curriculum committee one of our big purchases to bring in front of the board for June, and that is to get some of our digital literacy purchase that really support the work that Dr. Crystal Sismar is doing in connection with the grant. Thank you. We were able to get job positions written and posted and hired. We do have an assistant director of literacy. We do have an early childhood coordinator, which is an instructional facilitator. We are still interviewing for literacy coaches or literacy specialists, whatever you want to call them. And we meet weekly with the Great Start Collaborative. I'm sorry, we meet weekly, or we have weekly training sessions with any of these below: the Great Start Collaborative, the MTSS Technical Center, the team from MDE that's running this grant, and the Barry and Risa team. Thank you. As I said, we are working on filling in the positions. We are going to probably use an existing IF who has extensive literacy background for high school. So we're doing good there. We're working a partnership with the Michigan Education Corps. It's a pretty comprehensive. It's part of the grant. You had to secure our application with them and work with them to get tutors that will be working with younger kids, and they go through a very comprehensive training, interview process, et cetera, et cetera. So we're learning as we're going with that one. And we are using the My Family Framework, which you can find on the website, as in the MDE website, and the Great Start Collaborative as some of the family engagement components that we need to implement. Go ahead. So our next steps. We're planning our summer training. We've been actually planning that for the last week and a half, getting it secured. We are trained, many of us are trained in Orton Gillingham through the SLD Reed Center Collaborative out of Kalamazoo. We are working on getting Destiny trained. And I think if you remember, Dr. Crystal Sismar talked about that training happening this summer. We still have yet to receive information on getting the literacy essentials and the disciplinary literacy training, all part of the grant. We are required to order certain materials, and so we're working on those orders, as I just mentioned. And we are working to have a seamless connection between our library and literacy project and the summer library reading, all under this literacy grant. Also, a seamless integration of Read by 3. I have not taught you about Read by 3, and I think I do plan on bringing some information to the curriculum committee, but that was not waived this year. We are being held to Read by 3 and all the guidelines, so that law was not waived. It was waived last year. And then the installation of the partnership of accommodating our age 0 or birth to 3 program. Next. That might be it. Is that it? That's it. Oh, no, it's not. Yes, that's it. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sheldon. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the Michigan CLSD grant presentation?
Yes, Madam President.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Treasurer Craig.
Thank you. I'm really excited. I want to start off by saying I'm really excited to see all of the great things that this grant will provide for our district. I guess a concern would be, I would hope that we're not going to exhaust, our teaching staff and put a strain on teaching and learning if we move our teachers. I know that we do have a limited amount of certified teachers, and so we move those certified teachers into support staff. I guess my concern is, or hope, that we would not, do that and put a strain on teaching and learning. However, I am really excited to see that we are, promoting and moving individuals around. And so I guess it's kind of like twofold. I'm excited, as an HR committee chair, to see that we are employing current employees. I guess my concern would be, that we're moving the limited number of teachers that we do have into other roles, which is creating vacancies within the district. And so I don't really know, how to frame it. Those are just my thoughts and feelings around that particular piece. But overall, I'm excited, to see gains and growth, with this grant and what it can actually do for our students. And so that's my concern. And then my question is there room in this grant to provide, I know Trustee Bowen talked about, the lack of teacher pay. And so I just wonder if there's some room in this 5-year grant to help, since this is not a supplementing or supplanting grant and there's some foundational work, is it possible that we could increase teacher pay or provide any type of merit or financial, incentives for teachers and staff using this money?
Is there, for Ms. Creighton's question, is there a clarification that can be provided today on that?
Is that question for, okay, so, there's specific guidelines in that grant. We can't use that $3 million to increase teacher pay, but remember, and I talked with our team at the last meeting about teacher pay. Remember, prior to the new year, we have a 4-phase opportunity to give teachers back the money that they lost. We completed phase 1 where we gave 50% of the teachers 10% back of what they took 10 years ago. That 10% cut, we gave that back, in addition to putting teachers back on their step. Now we have phase 2 coming up. So that all comes out of our general fund. So we're working with our business department and human resources to see how we can execute phase 2. So our board will see information on how we are, first, restoring our teachers' pay, then increasing our teachers' pay. Don't forget, a long time ago, teachers took a 10% pay cut and been froze on the step for about a decade now. We have unlocked that with phase 1 prior to the new year. 50% of the teachers got back their 10% in addition to their step increase, and we're working on phase 2 right now. We'll make sure that we message that at the Human Resources Committee and also at our upcoming work session.
I have a question, Madam President.
You have the floor, Secretary Triplett.
As Treasurer Creighton was saying, as it relates to grants and what have you, and us making sure that we are not supplanting, and we have to be very, it's very important that we stay within the parameters of guidelines of that particular grant. When we talk about literacy and our teachers' pay, we might not be able to, you won't be able to use that grant. I have an understanding that you can't take this grant money and pay teachers and take their salaries up. But there are things, I know we're hiring, we're looking for literacy coaches, and we're looking for literacy this, and we're looking for this, and we're looking for that. Well, our teachers have gone above and beyond. Many teachers have given of their own time and money after school and all of those things. Is there anything, any way that with these funds, who knows our students better than our teachers? And so is there any funding that is available for after school programs, preschool programs in the summer, in the fall, that will say that this money is going to be allocated, and this money is allocated for our teachers, and our teachers are at the forefront of getting this extra opportunity to make more money and add some money to their thing, to their income, because we have teachers that have 2 and 3 jobs already. So I haven't heard anything about, okay, let's make our teachers whole. There, we have to be creative in ways to make them whole. And that we have $3 million. There should be some money allocated and allotted so that our teachers can be pulled in to be able to make that extra money, and that money just stop going out of this community. So that's something that I would like to see. And I would also, if at all possible, someone could please send me a copy of the grant and what Ben Harbor said that they were going to do as it relates to the grant.
I do want to follow up to that. We do have a plan to give our teacher their money back. We did complete phase 1. We will communicate that to the board. We lose sleep every day on how we can pay our teachers more than what they deserve because of especially navigating us during the pandemic. That's our #1 priority, but we'll show the community what that phase 2 looks like, and get our teachers their money so they can be rewarded for supporting our young people. Additionally, I want to add, some teachers see these opportunities in the grant that they feel like they're a great fit for. So we don't want to say, no, you can't apply for this because you do that. We give our teachers opportunities for things that they're fit for so they can have that advancement in their career. I'll pass it to you, Ms. Gail.
Well, I wasn't asking, Dr. Townsend, I wasn't asking for, again, what I said was with $3 million there, is there anything in there with the $3 million that we could have our teachers be able to be in after-school programs or creative ways that will give teachers an opportunity to add to their income? It has nothing to do with general fund raising, giving them their money back, step 1, step 2, step 3, and 4. I'm saying with $3 million coming into this community, I haven't heard not one thing said about we are going to take a portion of this money and we're going to take this money and put it where teachers in the district can get paid for doing things that is going to enhance the literacy of our students in this school district. That's what I was asking. And I haven't heard any of that yet out of $3 million. How can our teachers in their positions, right now, their current positions, get some of this money so it can help them out? That was my question. Thank you.
President Robbins.
Trustee Buchanan, Trustee Buchanan, pause for 1 second. I think Ms. Gail may have wanted to respond to Secretary Triplett.
So yes.
Okay, I can wait.
So yes, Secretary Triplett, you're absolutely right. We are not only aware, but are actively utilizing a whole lot of creative ideas to enhance our teachers' income. As a matter of fact, a form went out just this past week to all teachers and staff for any teacher who is able and willing to work through the summer. We have had the summer committee regarding the summer school meet intensively to create plans. And this year, summer school will last 8 weeks instead of usual 6 weeks. And our teachers will be able to earn additional income at the rate of $30 per hour. And we are trying to allow them to be flexible to work as much or as little as they would like during that time. Additionally, the month of, I believe in the month of August, overlapping with summer school and then after summer school, before our school year starts, we will have professional development opportunities for our teachers, which will also be compensated. They're voluntary. Nevertheless, they will be compensated to those who attend at the rate of $30 per hour, which is an excellent opportunity for our teachers to earn extra income. This is also the case for any other time or days that they attend professional development where they earn the credit or sketches towards their certification, that when the training is done outside of their contract days and hours.
Okay, yes, and so again, like in the fall and what have you, with the literacy program, I just wanted to put that out there, that there are ways, creative ways within the parameters, so we are not supplanting as it relates to any particular grant, that we have ways for our teachers to make money for all of the things that they do without pay. And so I would like to see a lot of that money, especially when it comes, because when we're bringing in new people, they got to get to know our students. They got to ask our teachers who these students are. And our teachers already know who these people are, who these students are, who their parents are. And there has to be creative ways for them to make more money. That's all I'm asking.
Absolutely. And we're actually maximizing those creative ways. And as far as your other comment, I just wanted to say that we do any opportunities for advancement. If there is interest, we make those available to our internal staff who have been loyal to our district and who have proven to be hard workers and who are invested in our district. Those are open to them first. And then if we are unable to fill them for whatever reason, if people are either not interested, then we go out and recruit other candidates.
Okay, again, I'm not saying taking our teachers out of our classrooms for those positions. Again, I think we can talk about it more in detail. I don't want to prolong the situation, but can you please send a copy, if I can, get a copy of the grant and what your plans are as it relates to the grant?
Okay, thank you all. And I'm not sure if this particular topic would be more so curriculum or HR based, but maybe we can discuss it a little further in, I think it might be a little bit of both in either of those or both of those committees. And then Treasurer Creighton, I heard you. I want to go to Trustee Buchanan first, and then
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay.
Go ahead, Trustee Buchanan.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay, I would just like to say that Ben Harbor area school has some of the best teachers in the world, and they are good. They deserve pay. They, like Mr. Tripler, someone said, I remember when I worked 32 years for this district, and we had teachers that would go by curtains put up in the window for the kids, and they had teachers that cared about those kids. I mean, I was a cavalry, so anything that can happen good for our teacher, we need that. Because some of them have to stay late, parents will come pick your kids up, they there. So any kind of money, anything else, we need that. Because this school year, last school year, whatever, thanks to Dr. Townsend, we had all the teachers. One year we were missing 10 teachers. So somebody's doing something right, and let's continue with that. We need to hire within. You got teachers retired that know how to do this and do how to do that. So we need to get that so our kids can really stay and be in our area school. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Buchanan. Treasurer Creighton, you have the floor.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I just kind of wanted to clarify. I know in Dr. Sheldon's presentation, she said that this grant was for foundational work and not supplement. And so that's where my question and concern was. When we say a foundation, it makes me think about, and then so my foundational clothing would be my shirt, you know, and then a supplement would be the jacket. And so I wouldn't put a jacket on without a shirt. And so that's where my question came from. Again, I don't have any problem with hiring any individual and promoting within. I just want to be clear. Number one, we did not receive, or I have not received, the presentation to even look through. And that was requested last week at the work session. And I'm so sorry that I still have these questions, but I didn't receive that. And then also the grant information, we did request that as well. And so I just think in an effort to be efficient, if we are receiving these things, it would be so much easier to not have so much discussion and questions. But again, so my original question is still, if this is money for foundational work, which again, my analogy was the shirt, how do we supplement instruction? I mean, how do we provide foundational work and supplement, instruction, or vice versa, if we're not making sure that we have positions, teaching positions filled? How will these extra positions help teaching and learning if we don't have the foundational positions filled or the teaching positions filled? So again, I'm excited that, individuals that's been committed to this district and loyal to this district and that has worked really hard. I'm excited that they're having the opportunity to be promoted. I'm just wondering if concurrently, I've not heard about a recruitment plan either for teachers, because I know when I was looking at this, in one position, one area, 4 positions, 2 certified staff, 2 non-certified staff. And so with that one being removed, 75% of that particular, department would now be non-certified, 25% would be certified. So to hire a person to, help oversee or improve literacy, I think it's fair to say that, who are we looking to help? The 75% that's non-certified. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like, as we are, unpacking this grant, that we move slow to move fast, and that we're not just diving in and putting the stress on our current, we have enough barriers and things working against us with the pandemic, with all the barriers that we already have currently in Benton Harbor area schools, and we're in a pandemic. I just want us to move slow to move fast, and not kind of just get all in and forget what it is that we're supposed to be doing here as a district as it pertains to teaching and learning.
You have the floor, Dr. Townsell. I think you're attempting to provide a response, if I'm not mistaken.
No, not necessarily a response, but I do want to say, our team worked night and day to find extra monies out here to support student achievement. And, I don't want our team to feel that we did anything wrong by trying to find money to enhance literacy. So number one focus, we were awarded $3 million over the next 5 years. It was ultra competitive, and we're putting our best thinking together to redesign what education looks like here. I'm more than happy to learn the hopes and wishes of our board members so we can meet the needs. Teachers are our number one resource and priority, as well as our students. We want to pay teachers top dollar. I'm gonna continue to ask my team to go out there and advocate to get all the resources. I want all the resources here so we can distribute it amongst our human resources, our human personnel, our human capital, as well as get the academic return on investment for our kids. That's all it is, the long and short. That's the only goal for us getting this additional money. If we didn't have this, we wouldn't even be talking about it, and we'd be trying to juggle and figure out, what we're doing. But I definitely know this was very difficult to earn, and it's something Benton Harbor should be proud of. We're going to do our very, very best to get as much information to our board of trustees as possible so they can feel confident and comfortable in the leadership direction that we're going in, because I do believe with the hard work and time that we're putting in, over time, we're going to see our district increase in academic achievement. We're going to get out of deficit. We're going to be a stable school district that's going to thrive for decades and centuries to come. But the work starts here. I think the last time we took our standardized assessment in 3rd grade reading, we were less than 5% proficient or advanced. I think they didn't even give us a score because it was less than 5%, as well as college and career readiness. So literacy is our number one primary focus right here in the district. And I'm super excited that we were able to beat other districts that were competing. I believe over 100 districts competed for this opportunity, and it was awarded to 5, including Benton Harbor, Detroit, Muskegon, some very tough districts that really need this support. So I'm more than happy to hear all the questions, all the concerns, so we can get those answers to our board of trustees, because my number one goal is to hope that our board feel confident in the leadership direction that we're going in. Our young people can't get this time back. So as we move forward, we're going to try to build the system as strong as it possibly can be built. You say, how tall can a tree grow? The answer is as tall as it possibly can. It produces as much fruit as it possibly can, as many leaves as it possibly can. And that's the mindset we have right here in Benton Harbor area schools. How solid and how tough and how official can we be as a district? As official as we possibly can. Resources that are out there, we're trying to rake them all in. And by the grace of God, we've been doing that. But I want our board of trustees to be confident in the plan that we put in front So, we can move in one common unity, and our young people, our teachers can be proud of the district that they go to and where our teachers work to. So this is an ongoing thing. We lose sleep day and night about it. And I do hope that we can articulate it in a way to where there's less concern and more push the go button, because I do confidently believe that, if I can run the play the way I see it to be ran, we'll be celebrating sooner than later. The young people will be going to phenomenal opportunities once they get through our education program here in Benton Harbor area schools. That's what I want to share. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I think earlier I said I wasn't sure if this would be curriculum or HR. I think because it's HR, it might be more so HR related. So I think this would be a good conversation topic for the HR committee. Probably both, but I'll allow our chiefs to determine how they want to balance that as far as the committee agendas. We're going to allow Ms. Gail to move forward with new hire information, staff report H1.
Submitting for board consideration to approve the employment of the staff in accordance with the revised school code and other general laws of Michigan. We have Mitzi Jones, SITI Administrator, which stands for Student Information Systems, Information Technology Integration Administrator. A recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to approve the employment of aforementioned staff.
Thank you, Ms. Gill. Can I have a motion to approve staff report H1?
I make a motion to approve staff report H.
Is there a second or support?
I second.
The motion has been made by Vice President Bradley and supported by Trustee Rockette Martin that we approve staff report H1. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns before we call the vote?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Treasurer Creighton.
Is this, I noticed that this position this title was listed under the literacy grant. Is that correct?
No, actually, it was not.
Are you positive about that?
This position was approved independent of the literacy grant. I'm not aware that this is a part of the literacy grant. Dr. Schulten, are you able to confirm we have another position with I believe the abbreviation may sound similar, but I'm not aware that this position is in any way connected to the literacy grant.
And my apologies, I think we have H2 pulled up. Can you pull up H1?
Yes, I can. I took over for Liz, except my computer's really slow.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Gail.
I'm sorry, I actually thought just left me. Oh, yes, I meant to say, I'm sorry. I meant to say that this position is actually in the IT department.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Any other questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report H1?
Is this Mitzi Jones' position?
It is.
Because I don't see it on here. I see a resignation on the screen.
She's working to get that pulled up, Secretary Triplett. That's what I just asked, if we could get the correct report pulled up. H2 is on the screen, but we're trying to take vote on it.
So President Robinson, just to be clear, so was that a no or a yes?
For your question?
Yes, because I thought that acronym was under the presentation that Dr. Sheldon just provided.
Yeah, but this position is a position that we had in the past prior to the grant, and it went unfilled for over a year. So the goal is to put it together, but it's the school information system, so it could potentially be used to support information across the district. It's to have that person to run that information system. We kind of been hopping to the finish line without having that position filled. I believe members of our HR committee are familiar with the previous employee under that position.
Right. No, my question was I just wondered, was this a position under the literacy grant? Because I thought I saw it under.
Are you saying like a newly created position? No.
No, I'm asking, is this position a part of the presentation that Dr. Sheldon just presented?
Dr. Shelton, are you able to answer this? It is not my understanding.
No, it has nothing to do with what I presented. I'm not sure what Trustee Creighton saw in the presentation, but no.
Okay, are we able to receive that presentation? We've been waiting for a week now.
The presentation is attached to the
The
agenda.
presentation is on the agenda.
It doesn't open. It doesn't open.
I apologize, Treasurer Creighton. It opens for me. Miss Dr. Sheldon, can you check or Liz, can you all check the?
I pulled it up. I'm gonna reshare it with
Okay.
Treasury Creighton and see.
Okay.
But please let me know if you get it, Treasury Creighton.
Thank you so much. That was it. I was just trying to make a connection. I told you guys I'm visual, so I was just trying to make the connection.
Okay, and did we have I'm sorry, we've had a little bit of conversation. Was there, I think we already had a motion to approve and a support. Are there any additional questions, comments, or concerns regarding the new hire staff report H1? All right, hearing none, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yeah.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan, Trustee Buchanan,
Yes, can you hear me?
yes. And Trustee
Okay,
Rocket
thank
Martin.
you.
Yes, Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, next we have separations of employment, beginning with staff report H2.
Reason for board consideration, a list of employees whose employment relationship with the district is or will be separated is submitted to the board each month. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the Board of Education votes to accept the separation of employment of the following staff. Policy reference 4140, resignation and termination of staff. We have Olivia Capodilupo, who is a teacher in training art, effective at the end of the year. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to accept the separation of employment of the aforementioned staff.
Right, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve staff report H2?
I move that we accept staff report H2.
Is there a second or support?
Support.
A motion has been made by Trustee Raquel Martin to approve staff report H2 and supported by Trustee Bowens. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report H2? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes, I'm sorry.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, staff report H2 passed. Next, we have staff report H3, Ms. Gail.
Reason for board consideration, a list of employees whose employment relationship with the district is or will be separated is submitted to the board each month. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the Board of Education votes to accept the separation of employment of the following staff. Policy reference 4140, resignation and termination of staff. We have Paxton DeBlasi, academic interventionist. At the end of the school year, recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to accept the separation of employment of the aforementioned staff.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve staff report H3?
I put a motion on the floor to remove staff report number 3, sorry.
To remove or to approve it, sir?
To approve, sorry.
All right, thank you. Is there a second or support?
Support.
Motion has been made by Trustee Bowens and supported by Trustee Buchanan that we approve staff report H3. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns before we take the vote? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Staff report H3 has passed. Next on the agenda is staff report H4. Ms. Gale.
Reason for board consideration, a list of employees whose employment relationship with the district is or will be separated is submitted to the board each month. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the Board of Education votes to accept the separation of employment of the following staff. Policy reference 4140, resignation and termination of staff. We have Anna Gale, teacher in training art, resignation at the end of the school year. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to accept the separation of employment of the aforementioned staff.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve staff report H4?
Madam President, I'm sorry. I have a question.
Okay, can you?
I can do a motion. I can put a motion on the floor to approve staff report.
Okay.
But I also have a question on this.
So
Sorry.
the motion has been made by Trustee Bowens that we approve staff report H4. Is there a second or support?
Support.
Okay, so the motion was made by Trustee Bowens and supported by Vice President Bradley. Trustee Bowens, you have the floor for your question.
Was this teacher local?
Yes.
Okay, I was just wondering because our community talks, and I was just wondering if she was not local, and that's all my concern was. I was told we have teachers in training all across the United States.
Well, I don't know what you mean by all across the United States. This teacher happens to be local. We do have one other teacher in training who is out of town. I'm not, I don't know that qualifies all across the United States.
Okay, just hearing little things and everything. That's why I was asking. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comment? Thank you for your question, Trustee Bowens. Any other questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report H4? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson.
Yes.
Vice President Bradley.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Bowen.
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan.
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. So the board has approved staff report H4. Secretary Triplett, I just want to comment, you make my title sound so official.
You're the president of the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education, and it is very official, ma'am.
I appreciate your diligence. Thank you so much. We're going to move it right along. Oh, before we move along, I just want to make sure, just to note, so when we have presentations and things of that nature, they're normally hyperlinked right into the agenda. But I do know sometimes with technology, there are glitches that prevent you to access those presentations. So if you notice you can't open something, please let me know or email Liz so we can ensure you all get the appropriate access to those documents. Or if it's something that's open to the public, we can ensure that it's access for everyone available. So we're going to move
President
right
Robinson.
along to teaching and learning, Dr. Sheldon.
President Robinson.
Yes, Treasurer Creighton.
I'm sorry, that link is still not working for me. And so I just wanted to.
Okay.
Tisha mentioned that.
Can we get is there a way to get that email directly to her as just in the document form?
Yeah, that's what I did. I'll do it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our presentations are in Google Drives, so they're not PowerPoints.
Okay. Yes, but that grant presentation is opening as the turnover data.
Turnover data. Okay, we'll get it linked right.
It's linked correctly, but I'll send it to her again.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay. All right, Dr. Sheldon, you have the floor.
Okay, so I'm going to go through the presentation from last week very quickly. As a disclaimer, we have no updates as far as the health department limiting anything. So we are still preparing for the prom, which is called Under the City Lights. And we are preparing for a full-on graduation, which is walking the field. Go ahead. The dates are there. So Saturday the 22nd, May 22nd, which isn't that far away, under the city lights. We are going to host it at the high school. Friday, June 4th at the field. That's fine. We plan on keeping our prom, all of our events safe as always. Seniors are allowed to bring dates from Berrien County schools, outdoor setting with a pod concept. Antigen testing will be required, and we will provide all opportunities for hand sanitizing, hand washing, frequent table washing, and following the new guidelines from the Berrien County Health Department. And that was about the number of people in one gathering, et cetera. Go ahead. And that's the official invitation. Then we'd like to recognize Miss Logan Sharp and Miss Gunter for heading up that committee and pulling that off in a very quick turnaround. Go ahead. Graduation, same idea. We're going to keep the kids safe. The seniors are going to walk the field with distance between them. The chairs on the field are going to be socially distanced. We are going to finalize our stadium seating, but parents and family to be socially distanced and in the bleachers, hopefully in like a pod setting. And actual diplomas delivered on the field, as I explained last week. In the past, we used to have the kids sign off on the diplomas after the graduation, come up and get their diplomas, etc. The graduation advisors, excuse me, and the counselors are working to have all the seniors sign all of the diplomas before graduation day is even near. So at the ceremony, the actual diploma will be handed over. And again, we're still following the guidance on social distancing and all the social cues that we need to follow during the pandemic. Just a little bit about how we did plan. We started in March, meeting weekly. Both schools will be participating, Benton Harbor, the high school, and Cape Center. June 1st will be the senior picnic. June 3rd, the senior luncheon. And I'm sorry, I don't have an update on where they have decided to have that quite yet. And between the two schools, currently, we have 96 students on track to graduate. So on track means if we held graduation today, they would graduate. We anticipate having anywhere from another 20 to 30 added to that number, because we know that some of the kids get senioritis, they're half a credit behind, and they're making it up right now in credit recovery, et cetera. And I believe, oh no, one more. And again, that committee that came together and is still coming together weekly, we would like to thank all of them as well. That's all.
Thank you, Dr. Shelton. Are there any questions regarding the update on high school events? All right, Dr. Shelton, you can proceed to the extended learning plan update.
Thank you. All right, go ahead. So it'll be very quick. We have no update on educational progress because we are still in the middle of testing. I think we're finishing up. If today is the 11th, we're finishing up NWEA testing window, and then we have makeups going on. Weekly interaction rates will reflect through April 19th through May 7th, this past Friday. And there is no change in instructional delivery. Go ahead. So we can see the interaction rates. I don't have the asterisks on them for some of the numbers, but it is on the main document that's on the transparency website as well. Go ahead. And we continue with the same instructional delivery. We still have our K-8 face-to-face, our K-8 virtual by choice, our 9-12 face-to-face, and our 9-12 virtual, both synchronous and asynchronous. And it's really a combination of, most kids have the combination of. No change. This is what we put in place at March 22nd, and we plan on staying that way unless something happens and we are told to do something different. That's all. Thanks. Liz, will you pull up my T1 report because I didn't pull it up? Thank you. Reason for board consideration. On August 20th, 2020, Governor Whitmore signed House Bill 5913 into law as Public Act 149. Section 98A states that in order to receive state aid for 2020-2021, districts must provide for instruction under the extended COVID learning plan that has been approved by an intermediate district or authorizing body. The plan must be reconfirmed each month at the monthly meeting of the school board. Facts and analysis. In policy 0122, board powers, the board has the responsibility to the performance of any function related to the operation of the district in the interest of public elementary and secondary education in the district, including A, educating students, B, providing for the safety and welfare of students while at school or at a school-sponsored activity, or while en route to or from school or a school-sponsored activity. Policy reference, Michigan Public Act or PA 149, Section 98A. Recommended action, that the Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education reconfirm there is no modification to the instructional delivery mode of the COVID-19 extended learning plan.
All right, thank you, Dr. Shelton. And now it's time for public comment on the extended learning plan. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Today, there were 3 areas for comment on the agenda, of which you may decide when to speak: public comment on agenda items, public comment on the extended learning plan, and open public comment. We are now at public comment on the extended learning plan. Per policy 0167.3, which governs board participation at board meetings, we request that you preface your comments by an announcement of your name, address, and group affiliation when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to a 3-minute duration, and per our bylaws, no participant may speak more than once during this meeting. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, and not respond at this time. I, as president, will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. If you have specific questions for the board or executive team that require follow-up, please email those directly to liz.goodwin@bentonharborareaschools.org. And I know Ms. Goodwin wanted me to ensure that I stress the importance of the address, because sometimes there's follow-up information that needs to be sent to you. So you want to ensure that Ms. Goodwin has that contact information so that she can do so. Is there anyone on the line for public comment on the extended learning plan?
I just have one question. So if I speak now during the extended learning plan, I am not able to ask another question, correct, later on?
Correct. So you have one opportunity to speak, but you can decide when you choose to speak during those 3 options.
Okay, I'll wait. Thank you.
You're welcome. So if you want to wrap up the meeting and make your public comment at the end, and it includes something about the extended learning plan, you have the right to do so. But we give this window of time for the public to make comment before we reconfirm the extended learning plan. All righty. Anyone for public comment on the extended learning plan? All right. So we're going to proceed with, can we have the agenda put back up on the screen? We are at staff report T1. Can I have a motion to approve staff report T1?
I put a motion to remove staff report T1.
To approve it?
I second the motion.
Okay, so the motion has been made by Trustee Bowens to approve staff report T1. It was supported by Trustee Rockette Martin. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns from the board prior to us taking this vote?
President Robinson, Trustee Bowens made a motion to remove.
I said approve.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Triplett. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report T1? All right, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
Yes, trustee Rocket Martin. Trustee Rocket Martin.
You're muted.
Yeah, as soon as I get unmuted. Yes, I accept.
Trustee Buchanan. Trustee Buchanan. Trustee Bowen.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. Trustee Bowen.
All right.
Trustee Bowen.
Yes.
Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Vice President Bradley.
Yes.
And President Robinson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Staff report T1 has passed. Next, thank you, Dr. Shelton, for your presentation this evening. Next on the agenda, we have Mr. Miller, who is our Chief of Student Support Services, with his Concentric Educational Solutions update.
Thank you, President Robinson. So Concentric Educational Solutions update. It's our partner that does our home visits. So this is the update from November 9th through April the 16th. We had 338 students visited. We've done over 406 home visits for those students. 196 are hard contacts. 179 are soft contacts, where we left letters at the home. 31 was no contact, where was no one living at the residence. The overall home visit outcomes, hard contact was 48%, soft contact was 44%, and no contact was 8%. You can scroll up. The hard contact outcomes, it was 98 that resulted in with meeting parents or guardians. 53 they met with family members. 22 of those met with students. 19, it was incorrect addresses, spoke to the current residents. So when we get those incorrect addresses, we make sure the building are aware of that and we make the adjustments. And 4 met with family friends. So the primary reason for the absences we found was we did visits for the wellness checks for any of our students that our building administration and their support team provided these lists to Concentric, and this is what this is our update, and we are going to do our last cohort 6 this week. Home visits will start on Friday. And that's the end of the update for Concentric.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for Mr. Miller regarding the Concentric Educational Solutions update? Hearing none, Mr. Miller, you can proceed with your athletic update.
Thank you. So our athletic updates, we have our winter 2021 final, and then our start of our spring seasons. So our girls basketball team, they ended up 5-6 this season. They had limited amount of games because of COVID. Based on a few key wins, they received the #2 seed in our district tournament that was hosted here at the high school. Unfortunately, our Lady Tigers was not able to participate in the tournament because of a COVID case, and some of the players had to quarantine. But each of the past 3 years, the girls team has improved as far as the team participation as well as victories. So the future's looking bright for our girls basketball program. Wrestling, our Tiger grapplers also improved significantly as they won 6 dual meets and lost 7. In the past 2 years, the team they haven't had enough athletes to win a dual meet. So that's improvements. In addition, Dash Harris Moore had an incredible season, ended up all state by finishing 8th in the Division III tournament. Dash had a record of 26 wins and 5 losses. Dash is a junior and hopes to come back next year with even better results. So shout out to Dash and the wrestling team on the great season. Boys basketball. Our boys basketball team was, they had a great season on the court. We made it to the quarterfinal round against a tough Grand Rapids Catholic Central team that eventually they won the state championship. We fell behind in the third quarter in the game against them, but we fought back and we had a great game. It was at Calvin University, and it was a great game to watch. They also had an outstanding record, 17 wins and 3 losses. The team leading scorers was Cantrell Pullian, Chris Moore, Trussell Singleton, and Javon Kai Kendall. The leading rebounders was Javon Kai Kendall, Kyle Booth, and Chris Moore. So congratulations to our boys basketball team on winning the districts, the regionals this year, and looking forward to winning that state championship next year. Spring sports, our new scoreboards at the baseball and softball fields were installed last summer. The baseball team had gone 4 years without a scoreboard, and the softball team will be playing their first games this year with the brand new scoreboards. So, and they are looking really nice out there with tiger orange and black. They look really spectacular on the fields. Our baseball team, they played 2 games so far. Coach Danny Jennings reported that Sean Sargent, Devin Perkins, Michael Kirby, Danny Jennings has been setting the tone for our young Tiger squad. Our softball team will play. They played their first game on May the 4th. Coach Alexander said they have been working really hard, to prepare this season. Some of the players that he wanted to give a shout out was Breacia Hill, DeAndrea McFall, Madison Collins, and Naya Daniels are leading the way in practice and working hard to improve every day. And the girls' next game is May the 13th at home against Berrien Springs. Our track and field team, they had their first meet in Kalamazoo, Lord Norks last Friday, April the 30th. This week, our team traveling to St. Joe, the Rotary Club, for an invite. Leading the team, the girls track, Janiza Wright, 100-meter dash, and the 4x100, beautiful Beechin, the 300 hurdles, and the 4x200. And the boys track, we have Marlon Bowman, 200-meter dash, 4x200 and 4x100, and Jacarius McGee, he runs the 4x100, 4x200, and a long jump. And it's a great day to be a Tiger. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I agree. We appreciate the athletic updates provided. Next on the agenda, we have old business. I'll place it under old business. So I've kind of mentioned, I think this meeting and last, that we were planning a board retreat. So the date that we have set is the 22nd, which is this upcoming Saturday. And I know last time we began at 10. So I'm anticipating that start time as well, but I'll send that information out and send out the agenda shortly. So mark
Madam
that
President?
on your, sorry, Trustee Bowens, give me 1 second. Place that on your calendar potentially for our work session. Trustee Bowens, did you have a comment on that?
Yes, I apologize. I understand that you scheduled it for March 22nd, and I hope I'm not being anal.
May
22nd. I hope I'm not being anal, but can we push it out 2 weeks? My employer requires me a 2-week notice, and just knowing about it, it's not giving me enough time to take it off.
Okay, so you're saying that that date doesn't work for you, Trustee Bowens?
Correct. I don't know about the other ones. I just wish if we could get a 2-week notice in advance.
Okay, I will notate that, and my apologies. We're just a couple days short.
Yes, sorry. Actually, the deadline was yesterday for me to turn in days I need off. So.
Okay. Okay, hearing none, we're going to proceed with open public comment. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Today, there are 3 areas for comment on the agenda of which you may decide when to speak. Public comment on agenda items only, public comment on the extended learning plan, and open public comment. Now we are currently at open public comment. Per policy 0167.3, which governs board participation at board meetings, we request that you preface your comments by an announcement of your name, address, and group affiliation when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to a 3-minute duration, and per our bylaws, no participant may speak more than once during this meeting. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, and not respond at this time. I, as president, will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. If you have specific questions for the please email those directly to liz.goodwin@bhas.org. And as I mentioned earlier, Ms. Goodwin wanted me to ensure that I mentioned that she sometimes has to send information for particular questions. So you want to ensure that she has your address to be able to do so. Is there anyone on the line for open public comment?
Yes, ma'am.
You have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Anicia Noel. I am a parent of a kindergarten at Discovery Enrichment Center. I first like to say I appreciate all of the information provided this evening. I do have a few questions. On 2/11/21, I asked what was the curriculum being used with the extended learning plan, keyword being with. According to public response, which is provided on BHAS.org, there was none. And then you listed the resources, materials being used. How has that impacted academics, arts, and athletics? How will that impact any evaluations of both teachers and administrators? What schools are concentric numbers based off? Have they contacted any other schools than the one they have consistently provided the same numbers for? With Connexus forming a charter high school and stating 3,000 children in our district and area have chosen non-traditional education, ranging ages of 16 to 24. How does the district plan to convert that number into active Benton Harbor area school students and not continue to assist the pipelining of talent? How does the CARES funding affect the strategic plan? Have we actually started working on the strategic plan instead of looking for someone else to lead us in that? Because I find it funny, we didn't discuss the strategic plan at all last week. How did the strategic plan come up during regular session? Let me see. There was something I had a question about, the $3 million grant. Oh, no, ma'am, I'll get back. I'll table that one. But my last question for everyone here is this. How many teachers are certified of the turnover rate we saw in the staffing report? And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Noel. We have next for public comment, Mr. Haywood.
Yes, I have watched this district and been in this district for quite a while.
Mr. Haywood, I apologize for interrupting. Can you speak louder?
Can you hear me? Can you all hear me now?
That's much better. Yes.
Okay, I have been in the district for quite some time, and I've always noticed us to have a superintendent, assistant superintendent. And I was trying to figure out, I know you have a title called the chief of schools, and I was wondering how is that title deranged and what is the function of the chief of schools? As we move forward, you spoke on the issue of the alliance, the graduation alliance, how it was very important to take a vote on that tonight. And we do have a Dream Academy. And with the money that we're spending for top heavy with the individuals that we're paying, I think we could have created our own institution to educate and bring those individuals in through the Dream Academy. We have had the proposal for Black Wall Street on the table for quite some time, long before February. And it tends to be that it's always an issue with moving forward and taking action on something that will help the district. One of the things that I've learned is that when we talk about this district, there has been a lot of teachers and people that have been let go that have had the district's and the kids' best interests at heart over the past year. Probably maybe the past year and a half. I mean, we haven't had teachers, educators that have been from this district that have been let go. And I would like to know who is doing the hiring and the firing in the district at this present time. Also, I would like to also understand what is the immediate need, because I wrote, Liz, you told me to get with Liz Goodwin. And I'm looking at an email that I sent Liz Goodwin on 11/25/20, where I was concerned about the grant money, who was over the grant money, and what grant money will be coming into the district. And do we have a grant writer? I never received any notification from Mrs. Goodwin, you know, and I have the email if I have to forward it to you, but I've never received any information back in regards to this. I've asked questions of Mrs. Goodwin. I've sent her a couple of emails, but I've never heard anything back. And I'm wondering, do they send you information back per your address, or does the emails be answered? Once again, I think that the community knows best for the community, and we keep doing a lot of outsourcing. And the outsourcing that we're paying for these students to go to graduation alliance is extremely high. If you had 141 students, that would be $500,000. And that's quite a lot of money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haywood. Next, the next hand I saw was Commissioner Adams. You have the floor.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. I've heard a lot. And again, I just want to stress that I wish that the day would come near at hand when we could all, the city commission, as well as the school board members and the community as a whole, can come together and do some formalizing, because nobody knows better than us what our community needs. And of course, it would take a facilitator, but I've saw so many facilitators come in and to no avail, and I'm hoping that we're on the right track. For the past 15, 16, 17 years now, I've been singing a song about what's missing in our community. I've even secured the funds for us to go out and visit the facility, and to no avail, because COVID happened. That's how close we were. But just last week, with the help of our beautiful Miss Ashley Hines, I got an opportunity to speak with Mr. Bill Strickland of Manchester Bidwell Arts and Training Technology Center. And he's willing to do something that he doesn't do for communities. And that's to come in and do a mass facilitation to see and help put together a plan that will work for our community. I'm not talking about somebody that we're outsourcing anything to. I'm talking about somebody that's coming in and entering a partnership with the city of Benton Harbor. And not only for our youth, but the young parents that need to be further educating themselves. And its main focus is putting something within the innermost part of the city, not outside, because we're here. We're here, and some people don't like going out to the college, and we're talking secondary, and they deal with high school, putting plans together. And they've asked us to put together a time frame. I'm asking if I can have you all schedules that I showed, events and stuff for the youth that are coming up, as well as the school board. If I can have that information, I'd really appreciate it, since I'm dealing with Mr. Strickland's time, so that we can get these community stakeholders to the table. We've made some decisions lately that we've had, I'm not going to say promises, but some very promising things from our corporate whirlpool working with the school. I didn't hear anything about that within this, but we all need to come together and talk and finally put something together that we know are going to make things sustainable as far as our children and the young adults that want to further their education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Commissioner Adams. Anyone else for public comment? I don't see any additional hands.
I have my hand up. Hello?
Okay, go ahead. You have the floor.
Hi, I'm Gwen Flanagan, Sharp Foundation, address 108 Water Street.
Can you
Benton
speak
Harbor.
just a little bit louder, Ms. Swanigan? I want to ensure we hear you.
I'm sorry, can you guys hear me now? Is that better?
A little bit better, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I said my name is Gwen Swanigan. I'm with Sharp Foundation, address 108 Water Street, Benton Harbor, Michigan. I just want to say I've been listening to the board a number of times, and I just want to say, first of all, I think that you guys was kind of unfair with not allowing Ms. Gavin to speak, to answer the questions that you all had, because I listened over and over again in other meetings where you allow other people to present, and everybody has questions and they ask their questions at that time, and the questions are being answered. And I just think it's just fair across the board to allow that to everyone. And maybe some people didn't have their questions, but this was a time where they could ask their questions that they didn't, present or didn't submit. So I really think that, that part of the meeting was kind of unfair to Ms. Gavin not to be able to answer those questions. Secondly, we talk about the teachers and higher pay for the teachers and outsourcing. And I'm hearing all of these things about teachers and getting new teachers and outsourcing or whatever. My question is, why are we've gotten rid of a lot of good teachers in the school district under the watch of the chief of schools. Some has resigned, some has been fired. Okay, I want to know, and not just me, other people in the community want to know, why are these teachers, good teachers, being let go, or being, some saying forced to resign. Some teachers are still here in the community working in Benton Harbor area schools, and the working conditions are almost unbearable under the chief of schools watch. I think that needs to be looked into and find out what's going on, because we're losing teachers, good teachers that's been in the school district. Also under her watch, the chief of schools watch, CTE programs have been dissolved. I mean, we need to look at the whole picture. Yeah, everything that you're saying tonight sounded good as far as, the monies, the grants and everything, but we need to look at that too. We need to look at the whole picture and figure out why certain things are happening. The chief of schools came in with the state, with Dr. Herrera. We all know what Dr. Herrera's plan was. If you don't know, ask somebody, because I know. I've talked to him. We all know what his plan was. She came in with him. Anybody that came in with the state should have left with the state. That's my opinion. Okay. Mr. Bowens asked the question early on about one of the teachers were they local? And at that point in time, the person that she was talking about was local, is local. But there is a someone outside, like she did say there was training outside, out of the state. Why are we training other people out of the state and getting rid of the teachers that are already here? And not.
Thank you, Ms. Swanigan. Your time is up. But if you had more to your, I'm not sure if there were more questions or more comments, but if you had additional questions, you can email those to liz.goodwin@bhas.org. Is there anyone else on the line for public comment? All right, I'm going to move on to Dr. Townsend for his superintendent announcements and comments.
Thank you, President Robinson and Board of Trustees and greater community. I'd like to just share some quick highlights that's good to know. Benton Harbor High School, we proudly celebrate some outstanding career tech education students who've been recognized at the Berrien County level. We have a young student, Dadriana McFall Omar, was recognized for her outstanding work in construction trades with the instructor, Mr. Larry Jansen. Additionally, that student did a great job with media communications, who's the instructor is Mr. Turner. Another student was highlighted, Jamarian Evans, in our Cisco IT Essentials program, led by instructor Leanne Damon, and Tykera Parkham in the Hospitality and Food Management program, led by Ms. Gunter. Shout out to those young people who are recognized at the Berrien RESA level. We want to recognize them here as well. Today was our baseball home opener versus St. Joe. Please, ladies and gentlemen, get out there and root on our Tiger baseball team and all young people that are competing in spring, summer sports. Make sure you get out there, support them Tigers, and let them know that we love them and we can't wait today to do amazing things. I want to give a huge congratulations to a Benton Harbor High School alumna who was the #4 overall pick by the Indiana Fever in the 2021 WNBA draft, and that's Kaiser Gondrzak. She's doing a phenomenal job. For those who don't know who she is, she's class of 2016. Tonight she made her preseason debut. And in 2006, she was named Miss Basketball in Michigan. She's the highest draft pick in West Virginia women's basketball history, 2021 AP All-American honorable mention. And her father, Mr. Grant Gondrzak, God bless him, was a former NBA player, and her mother, Miss Lisa Harvey, won the national championship with Louisiana Tech in 1988. So she come from a really good family background, and she's representing Benton Harbor in the WNBA. Another Benton Harbor alumni I'd like to just shout out. This individual is an NBA great. Wilson Chandler had a birthday on yesterday. I'm shouting him out because of the amazing work he does in the community. He served as a board member on the Benton Harbor Education Foundation and often made great contributions to the young people here in Benton Harbor. Additionally, NFL great Benton Harbor High School alumni Joyke Bell, class of 2005, has a charity weekend coming up June 17th through 20th, 2021, where they have 5K health and wealth run, golf scramble, bowling tournament, basketball tournament. I just love when I see our Tigers out in the community leading and coming back and giving back. These are young people that graduated from Benton Harbor High School and Benton Harbor area school that are doing great things across our globe. And we just want to salute those individuals. Don't forget, May 22nd, we have prom. Prom is here on May 22nd. For our high school students, we'll have all the policies and procedures and guidelines in place to keep our young people as safe as possible. Additionally, on June 4th is our graduation. And last but not least, please save the date and let Principal Barnes know as soon as possible if you'd like to attend Discovery Enrichment Center kindergarten graduation, which is going to be Wednesday, June 9th. There's going to be a 5 p.m. session with Ms. Fakima, Ms. Jackson, 6:30 through 7:30 session with Ms. King and Ms. Martin. Our Board of Trustees have a spot reserved. We really look forward to seeing you out there. Those conclude my comments. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Townsell. Up next, we have board comments and announcements. I am going to begin with Trustee Buchanan. Trustee Buchanan, can you unmute for me, please?
Can you hear me?
I sure can. Go right ahead.
My comments gonna be short and sweet. We, as a board, need to continue to work for the community and for our students, and attend some of those different things they have. And thank Dr. Thompson for. And now I was gonna say something about that guns attack. She was the top pick, but we have good people in the community. We have an excellent school board and trustees that think, and everybody think, and everybody can't think. Talk at the same time, and then everybody ideas are just one person's idea just as good as the other one, and we got to learn to work together. Brother Harold Hampton used to come to our board meeting. An empty wagon gonna rattle, but a full wagon won't. So let's continue to do what we have to do, and let's think before we vote on something. Because I've seen a lot of things come to Ben Harbor were destroyed. So thank you very much, and everybody be blessed. And I would like to thank the board of Dr. Thompson, whoever sent I'm passing on my brother that wonderful plant. Thank you all. And continue to pray for my family. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Buchanan. Up next, we're going to have Trustee Bowens.
Good evening. Thank you for coming. I look forward to the retreat. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Trustee Bowens. Up next, we have Trustee Raquel Martin. You're muted.
Yes, I too am thankful for the opportunity to serve the community in which I lived in, I've worked in, I've educated my children in. I also would like to say thank you to Dr. Townsell for his innovative ideas and for having our kids at heart. I've been listening to him and I've met him, and I understand his passion for the students of Benton Harbor. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you researching avenues that will provide services to our children that will help them be better and help their school performances and their lives be better. So hats off to Dr. Townsell for that. I also would like to say hats off to the boys basketball team for all of their accomplishments that they've done this year and the gains they've made. And I wish them really, really the best for their future endeavors. And I'm trying to think, I think.
You muted yourself, Trustee Raquel Martin. Go ahead.
For the reading grant, I also would like to thank the people that worked on that grant, because grant writing is not an easy feat. And more than that, just accomplishing the terms of the grant. And, and I heard what they said about the salaries and the perks. And I know that we have to strictly adhere to the grant and what we wrote in the grant. However, I'd like to know if there could be a little bit of benefits. I know they have conferences, paid conferences, and for teachers that would help them to network with other districts that maybe have gotten the same grant. Those kinds of opportunities, maybe paid professional development, if that is some of the perks that may be entitled to some of our teachers in the grant. I know that you can't pay salaries out of that grant to teachers unless they are filling a position of that grant. Um, but certainly, I too would like to see them get some of those little perks, if possible, from that grant. And with that, I'll say that's all, and thank everybody for attending.
Thank you, Trustee Raquel Martin. Up next, we have Treasurer Creighton.
Thank you so much. I just want to thank everyone for coming, for being patient with us. As you know, we are experiencing growing pains. We are moving in the right direction, whether it feels like it or not. Again, you know, sometimes, you know, things seem to be in disarray, but I think every part and every opinion that's brought to the table is definitely helping us move in the right direction. And you know, if we don't have a plan, then we plan to fail. And so I just want to ensure that, you know, everything that I'm sharing, I'm asking, you know, as a board member and two committee chairs, I'm just trying to make sure that, you know, we are documenting and putting things on paper and on the record so that we can look through our notes and look back and see how far, you know, we have gone. And so with that being said, I'm looking forward to the trainings and the retreats and all of the developments that we're going to continue to participate in as a board. And I'm looking forward to that vision and creating a vision and making a vision plain and, you know, just kind of coming up with big ideas so that we can keep moving in the right direction. I'm so grateful to have a great staff that's been with us. I'm grateful to have, you know, 1,600 students and parents and families that believe in us. I'm ready to recruit the other 3,400. And if anybody knows me, I'm from the fighting mighty class of 2001. And when I say fight, I'm talking about the good fight. You know, we fought to the end. We got to the quarterfinals. We fought to the end in basketball, football, everything that we do. And so when you see me on here, and you know, you might think I'm swinging. I'm definitely not swinging. I'm just playing offense, defense. I'm looking at this thing from a coaching perspective, also from a fan perspective, and from a person sitting on the bench. And so we're wearing those different hats. I just want to continue to encourage, you know, our supporters and all of our parents and stakeholders. I am very passionate. And so sometimes, you know, that passion might come out wrong, but I'm working on my methods because I promise you my message is clear, and that's to improve Benton Harbor area schools academically, socially, athletics, everything. And that's my mission on this board. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Treasurer Creighton. Up next, we have Secretary Triplett.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of our community members who have been coming on a regular basis to be a part of this collaboration of individuals who have been charged with setting the standard as it relates to public education in the community of Benton Harbor. I made a statement maybe a couple of meetings ago where I said that one of the areas that I've been concentrating on is that fine line between accountability and micromanaging. And so that's been on my mind for some time. And I came to the resolve that it is imperative that we inspect what we expect. And that's not micromanaging, that we inspect what we expect. This board has a responsibility to make sure, first of all, that they operate by the policies of Ben Harbor area schools. Nothing else. I have some concerns, and I've said it, and I, you know, one of the things that we have stated repeatedly over and over again that there won't be any surprises at the table. But every now and again, in this particular storming season, there might be some surprises. But I think that we can work through. I am very um, happy to see the baby steps that we're making as a board of education. Nothing that I do is personal. I did not get on this board of education to honor any perceived vendettas against anyone or anything. I have worked in several capacities in Ben Harbor area schools all of my life. My relationship started in 1965 as a kindergarten at Sealywood Court Elementary School. I hope that people's egos don't allow them to think that I spend hours upon hours thinking about ways to destroy them or any of that, because if anybody is destroyed or messed up or targeted, that creates problems and chaos for our district. It's way bigger than any individual. And having said that, I first of all would like the president to take into consideration when we're talking about public comment that individuals on the line be able to speak in the extended learning plan section of it, because we have parents on here who might have questions as it relates to the extended learning plan. And then they might have questions at another time in the agenda. I would like for the board to look at that piece right there, because that's a very, very critical piece. And I think that input on all levels should be allowed. And people should not have to pick and choose when they can speak on one area or what particular area, but that's something new that was mandated by the state. And I would like you to take that into consideration. Um, that was one thing with working with MASB that they said, you know, sometimes those types of things are at the discretion of the board president or the board of education. And if people are coming in and they want to ask questions anytime as it relates to education and the education of their children, they should be afforded that opportunity. Um, as far as our grants and what have you, I just, as I was saying in that section, $3 million. Anytime there's any grants or anything that comes into this district, I think that creative ways to involve our teachers should be at the forefront of the work. Any way that we can put them in the grant without supplanting, they should be included in that grant. I also said at the work session and expressed my concern about the facility committee or the people who are in charge of facilities. And I asked for a copy of the agreements that we went into with the two different companies. I received a very disturbing call, um, and I do say, and Dr. Townsend did respond back to me, and I'm in the process of preparing what I have inspected as it relates to the work of the facilities and grounds and facilities division of the school district. Um, but I received a call that you know, and I've seen the grass. The grass is looking nice. I ride through because I have to get out of the house, and that's my outing to be able to ride through. And I've seen some our grass being cut and what have you. But I do have some very, very concerning photos that I will send to the superintendent as it relates to our grounds and on our campuses, because I did ask the question of Mr. Johnson, what does the contract entail? What are the details of the contract? When, you know, there are certain times when they do specific cleanings and different things. But the thing that really disturbed me was I got a call from an 85-year-old member of our community who said, you know, my wife and I, we don't want to cause any trouble. And it bothers me that people feel like they're causing trouble if they have some concerns, or they've been made to feel like if they come to this board and ask a question or anything that they're causing trouble. And I told them never that. But there was a group of people who were cutting over in the football field area on Union Street. And when they looked out their window, and the wife said, "Oh, and the grass," his wife said, "and the grass looked very nice." But I was very concerned that when the contractors pulled up, that they had Confederate flags on their cars and some of their paraphernalia. And that was very disturbing to them. And it was very disturbing to me. That's why it is important that we inspect what we expect in a district in this particular climate in this season in the United States of America. People can have and believe whatever it is that they want to believe, but I think that it is very disrespectful. And we do need to watch and inspect when we give these contracts out and have our expectations clear and precise. In closing, I want to say this: with the graduation agreement that I voted to support, I think that it's important that we get the right information out to the people when we send things out after we come from these meetings. This is the third tier. We did not vote, those of us who voted for this. And Treasurer Creighton made it perfectly clear that it wasn't that she was against this, but that she still wanted some more information. The information was given to me that I needed. And this is, we are not outsourcing jobs, teachers' jobs, or anything to anybody. What we're doing is we're getting competitive with these people who have been dismantling this district for some years now. This is for people who have dropped out of school all the way up to the age of 22 years old, that we are going to go and pull those people in our community and give them an opportunity to get a diploma and a quality education. Some dropped out in the 10th grade. And so please, when we go out of these meetings, make sure that we're telling people all of the details and everything. Because if people hear just certain aspects of it, it just undermines, and for me, it makes me really wonder and question people's intention. Um, I am very supportive of Benton Harbor area schools. I don't know, I don't owe anybody any explanation. I think if anybody here has been through almost everything in this district and have been able to collaborate, work alongside, and work with people who have at times haven't been so kind and supportive of me. But this is not about me. This is about the children. And so, in closing, I really want to say to this Board of Education, I am looking forward to the growth. Our community matters, their voices matter. And just because people bring things to the table, it does not mean that we are going to always agree immediately. I think that this board has brought a different flavor and a different way of working as it relates to inclusion. So again, thank you for this opportunity to serve. I'm going to continue to do my best. And I want Benton Harbor to be the best school district, not only in this region and not only in this state, but also in this nation. And with that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett. Up next, we have Vice President Bradley.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the public, our central admin, fellow board members, and staff. I see someone had a same thought when I was going. That was in my notes. Try to be real brief. The empty bandwagon makes a lot of noise. Let's make sure we're having conversations of substance. A lot of our problems didn't happen overnight. Some of these problems have been going on for the last 10, 20, even 30 years, even longer. Different letterhead, different leadership, different phone numbers, some of the processes are the same. Let's not start, this cycle all over. Let's not do ghetto politics. Sometimes we think we are a solution, but sometimes we can be a problem. Let's be proactive in facing problems and dealing in reality. Let's unify as a community, but we have to come together as a community. I'm gonna say that again. Let's unify as a community, but we have to come together as a community. We've had plans, and now we have groups wanting to come to the table, and we already have plans. We've always offered opportunities for input, so let's be mindful of that. With that, I'm going to end my comments, and you all have a good evening.
Thank you, Vice President Bradley. So for my comments, I'm going to actually be brief. I just want to thank the Board of Education for their time and support in discussion held today. I want to thank the executive team for preparing for today's meeting and providing us with excellent presentations. Also want to thank the community members for their presence, their input, and questions that are entered in public comment, because the community is of value to the Board of Education, and we do appreciate everything that you all bring. We never want you to think that you are not appreciated, and we know that you have great intentions for the district, as illustrated by your ability to stay here with us on these meetings and be patient. Also want to thank my board, the executive team, and everyone here for the patience. I really did attempt to get us out of here quicker this evening. I know that you all could see I was trying to push the agenda along. We will get better over time. That is my priority currently as chair, is to ensure that we are able to respect that board norm of ending meetings in a timely manner. So I just want to thank you all for your patience. Thank you all for a good board meeting. And I just wish that everyone have an excellent evening. Great job to the Tigers. The updates that were provided as far as our sports. Congratulations to all of our students and everyone for everything major that they're doing. And I hope you all have an amazing evening. I will give you all an update on that board retreat as well. So with that being said, I'm actually done. Wanted to keep it short and sweet. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I put a motion on the floor to adjourn.
Support.
Okay.
So who made the motion? Everybody?
Yeah, everybody said, let's go.
The motion was made by Trustee Bowens and supported by Vice President Bradley. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding why we should not adjourn?
Yes. No.
Good night. Good night.
Okay.
We love you.
Wait, hearing none, Secretary Triplett, please call the vote.
Trustee Rocket Martin?
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Y'all be good. Mr. Triplett, call me, and Ms. Robinson, call me on my phone when y'all delete it before y'all go anywhere. Very important. Bye.
Trustee Buchanan, I'm sorry. It's Mr. Robinson's birthday, so I might have to give you a call in the morning if that's okay. Sorry to
Oh, go ahead, oh, girl, with
Sorry.
your bad self.
Sorry to
Somebody
interrupt
has
the vote. Secretary Triplett, go ahead. You have a floor.
I need to start all over. I got confused. I got Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Bowen.
Yes.
Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett. Yes, I forgot to say yes. Vice President Bradley.
Yes.
And President Robinson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. The meeting is officially adjourned at
Y'all have a
9:20
good
p.m.
evening.
Have a good night.
Good night.